Good evening. Welcome to the November 19th regular meeting of the Oceanside City Council. I'd like to go ahead and ask our city clerk to call roll, please. Ms. Navarro, please call roll.
Sorry about that. Mayor Sanchez.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Joyce.
Present.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Present.
Councilmember Robinson. Councilmember Weiss.
Please stand for the invocation. Tonight we have Pastor Dr. Hal Seed from New Song Church.
Thank you for inviting me again. It's 8 days from Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful that I get to live in this city and that you're running it and I'm not. I brought my granddaughter again. Maybe she'll learn some more about how the city works as well, but we're blessed to be part of this city, and thank you for the parts you play. I just got to see that it's not all upside, and I appreciate what you do on the downside as well. Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you for bringing us together tonight with these folks who have been entrusted with running our city. Thank you that you have shown your beauty and your creativity by creating a place like Oceanside, California, and that most, if not all of us in this room get to live here. Thank you for our parks. Thank you for our streets. Thank you for lights that work and water that runs. Thank you for the men and women who keep us safe through their public service. And thank you for our city council members and officers in front of us now. I pray your watch care, your blessing over them and their families. For tonight, I pray that you give them wisdom and synergy, enough resources to do what's necessary to run the city well, and where we might be stretched to prioritize wisely what can be spent and what needs to be done. Give them great decisions and give them joy in their service for us here. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Deputy Mayor, could you please lead us?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and read the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Payom Kawicham, people of the West, as the traditional land caretakers of the land on which Oceanside is built and its surrounding traditional cultural landscapes. Today, the Payom Kawicham are known as Luiseño and are made up of 7 bands: La Jolla, Palapalma, Pechanga, Rincon, San Luis Rey, and Saboba. We are mindful of the indigenous peoples in this place, and we pay our respects to the Luiseño, past, present, and emerging. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be part of this community in Luiseño territory and to honor their history, culture, and perseverance of spirit. Thank you. Thank you, and this is part, it's called Proclamations and Presentations, and we have 3 of them. The first one is a proclamation in honor of the 20th annual Turkey Trot. So we have Eric Marenberg. Come on up. So Eric, this is the 20th annual, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. So actually pretty special. Whereas for the past 20 years, the Oceanside Turkey Trot has united nearly 200,000 runners and walkers of all ages each Thanksgiving morning in downtown Oceanside, creating one of Southern California's most beloved holiday traditions. And whereas over the years, participants have traveled from all 50 states and multiple countries to take part in this signature Oceanside event, bringing families, friends, and visitors together to experience our vibrant coastal community. And whereas the Oceanside Turkey Trot proudly showcases Oceanside's breathtaking oceanfront, historic downtown, and thriving local businesses, while highlighting the community spirit that defines North County. And whereas thousands of participants patronize Oceanside's restaurants, hotels, and small businesses throughout Thanksgiving week, generating significant economic activity and contributing to more than $1 million annually in estimated economic impacts for the city of Oceanside. And whereas over its 20-year history, the Oceanside Turkey Trot has raised more than $500,000 for Oceanside and North County-based schools, nonprofits, and charitable organizations, supporting programs tied to education, fitness, the arts, and community well-being. And whereas the event continues to support those in need by launching a partnership with the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank. And whereas San Diego Running Co. remains dedicated to delivering meaningful economic, charitable, and community impact to Oceanside and its surrounding communities year after year. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, do hereby proclaim November 27th, 2025 to be Oceanside Turkey Trot Day in the city of Oceanside, celebrating 20 years of community, health, and tradition. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I hope to see many of you on Thanksgiving morning. I know, thank you for the words, Mayor. As fun and lighthearted as the Turkey Trot is, very meaningful for the community in a lot of different ways. So those are real dollars that this event has raised over 20 years, over $500,000 and tens of thousands of dollars every single year. This year, the San Diego Food Bank is more important more than ever, and that's been the lead charity this year. And so with those limited SNAP funds that happened, it was sort of fortuitous timing that we had partnered with the food bank, and that's really meaningful impact, as well as in our registration, we ask, why do you join? And we get dozens, we get hundreds of answers, and it's everything from, it brings our family together, we all fly in together, this is kind of our common glue, to, I am coming back from cancer, I have lost a leg, and this is my alive day. It's amazing the answers and the things that this event brings together, and so I know there is a little bit of impact in the morning. Sometimes those folks that want to hit the road, there's a little bit of a road closure, a lot of people out in the streets. This is very meaningful for Oceanside and North County, and we're just excited to be able to put this on year after year.
Well, thank you, Eric, and you sure have had some challenges then, and you're still doing this. In Oceanside, we really thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So thank you. We're going to go ahead and have a picture, and if any of our council members are nearby, if you can join us. Thank you, Eric. And see everybody on Thanksgiving morning where? Right in front here at the Civic Center. Thank you. Next, we have proclamation in honor of Shop Small Business Saturday, Shop Local Oceanside, and that is November 29th, 2025, and this is Main Street Oceanside. Come on down, Sean Chavez and others. Good, brought a team and he's going to introduce everybody, but first I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas the City of Oceanside celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, there are 33 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7% of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses employ 46.4% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas the City of Oceanside supports our local small businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed this Saturday after Thanksgiving as Shop Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim November 29th, 2025, that's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, Shop Small Business Saturday, Shop Local Oceanside, and urge all residents and visitors of Oceanside and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Shop Small Business Saturday and to shop local Oceanside throughout the year. Thank you. And here you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. My name is Sean Chavez with Main Street Oceanside. To my left, I have Courtney and Jacqueline. They're part of our staff, as well as Bobby, our senior program manager, and one of our board members, Tom DeMoy. I also want to give a shout out to Michelle. She's standing in the back with economic development, who is a part of our team with Main Street and is a huge supporter of Shop Small Saturday. One of our main goals in Main Street is to support downtown businesses and keep downtown vibrant. And that happens by people coming downtown, experiencing the fun and activities downtown, and the unique adventure it is to shop and dine throughout these neighborhoods and in our main core. So we're super excited for this year. We're changing things up a little bit this year. This year we have an event on Saturday from 10 to 1 right outside at Civic Center. It's a kickoff event, and it's free for all locals and visitors to come down, get some free hot cocoa, some coffees, a free bag, and we are going to launch you out into the community. We have a gift guide, a map system of all the businesses that are participating. We're gonna have about 20 to 30 businesses offering free or low-cost items, special events, free tastings, discounts, and really, Shop Small Saturday is launching Shop Local. So we're gonna do a Shop Local campaign all the way up to Christmas that will then continue to promote through an online digital gift guide and different opportunities for you to come down and experience downtown in a fun and interactive way this holiday season. We are extremely grateful to Mayor Sanchez, the City Council, Economic Development, and the county, who continues to provide resources for us, connections and collaborations, and we couldn't do it without you all. So thank you so much. And we'll see you on Saturday, 10 a.m. Come ready to shop. All right? Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you. And even on Black Friday, you can come on down and get started early.
Discounts start today, probably. So come on.
Yeah, come on down. All right. Well, let's take a picture. Yeah.
Open that so you can see the inside. Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So see you shopping. Oh, I thought everyone was taking a little break. All right, and the last one is a proclamation in honor of Front Wave Credit Union. And we've got Chip Dykes, the Vice President of Military and Community Relations. Come on down, Chip. Come on down as well. Yes? This is Michelle Geller, our Economic Development, person that we couldn't do without. So, whereas, and this is very, very special, whereas during the 2025 federal government shutdown, Front Wave Credit Union acted swiftly and decisively to ensure financial stability for its members serving our nation by advancing pay to all eligible active duty military members, including the Marines and sailors who call Oceanside and the surrounding communities home, whose government paychecks were delayed due to the shutdown. And whereas Front Wave's payroll advance effort totaled nearly $50 million, providing immediate relief to more than 31,000 military members, allowing them and their families to meet essential financial needs without interruption. And whereas Front Wave also extended vital support to civilian Department of Defense and federal employee members affected by the shutdown through additional relief measures and financial assistance, underscoring its deep commitment to the entire defense community. And whereas this extraordinary act of leadership and compassion reflects Front Wave's proud legacy as a financial institution founded in 1952 aboard Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton and headquartered here in Oceanside, where it continues to serve the military and local community with dedication, integrity, and care. And whereas FrontWave continues to honor its mission to, quote, fight for our members' financial success, end quote, empowering Marines, veterans, and local families through financial education, community partnerships, and a 360-degree approach to giving. And whereas the City of Oceanside recognizes FrontWave Credit Union as a trusted community partner whose leadership and compassion embody the values of service, resilience, and unity that defines our city. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim November 19th, 2025 as FrontWave Credit Union Day in the City of Oceanside in honor of and much gratitude for their heroic and compassionate efforts in providing critical financial relief to our military and civilian members and families during the longest government shutdown in our country's history. Many thanks for going above and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate that. As the mayor said, we were founded in 1952 as a Marine Corps credit union, and over the years evolved from Camp Pendleton Credit Union to Marine Corps West Federal Credit Union to Pacific Marine Credit Union, and eventually to FrontWave Credit Union. And I would tell you there's no trick to the name, except that the Marines lead from the front. We were founded here in the Oceanside area, and it's a nod to the waves, and that's FrontWave Credit Union. But we opened our doors to the entire community about 2 decades ago, and we stand ready to assist the entire community. And it's great to see partners we've had over the years being up here to get proclamations just before us, Main Street, Oceanside, Turkey Trot. It's just an honor to be up here. And at FrontWave, we have a slogan. It says, dream big, we got you. And that doesn't mean just when you're up, it means when you're down as well. And we live it, and we stand by it, and we will continue in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip.
And definitely thanks to FrontWave. And when I heard, we were at a chamber board meeting, and when I heard that they had been basically fronting paychecks to military during the shutdown, I thought it was definitely important to recognize them. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Very few were able to do that, and I'm so grateful that FrontWave Credit Union was able to do that here, especially for our defenders of our Constitution and our country. So thank you, Chip. I'm going to go ahead and invite the council to come over and have a picture, and if you want to be in the middle here, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chip. Thank you so much. There's a long list of partnerships that they've created, including FrontWave Credit Union. You've heard of that, right? But thank you. All right, I'm going to continue my presentation, our sister city Kisarasu, to the next meeting. So we are on closed session report. Mr. Burke?
There was no meeting in closed session today. Thank you.
Thank you. Now on to our consent calendar items 2 through 14. Do we have any requests to pull from the public and to speak?
We do not.
All right. Do we have any requests to pull from the council? I see no hands or... Councilmember Weiss?
Move approval.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, there is a motion second by the deputy mayor. Let's vote.
Motion to approve, 5-0.
Thank you. Do we have George Awad here for advanced written request to reserve time to speak? Not here yet. Okay, how about 21, communications from the public regarding items not on this agenda.
Yes, we do. We have 3 speakers under item number 21.
Okay.
Our first speaker is Phil Ripa, to be followed by Jimmy Knott, to be followed by Leo Chapinski.
Mayor, council members, my name is Phil Ripa, and I live at 405 De Anza Court. I'm bringing to your attention that 3 times in the last 17 months, my neighborhood has experienced a hydraulic leak from Western Waste trucks. The first leak happened, I think, in June of 24. Councilmember Joyce was nice enough to come out, as well as a representative from Waste Management, who assured us they would take care of the problem. We had nothing to worry about environmentally, that they used something they called a vegetable-based oil, totally biodegradable, nothing to worry about. On the third instance, it just happened earlier this month. I went ahead and got a hold of Waste Management, asked them for a safety data sheet on their hydraulic oil. I have a copy of it, and it contradicts everything that they have said to us verbally. The safety data sheet shows that it's from a petroleum-based product. And in addition to that, if you go over to section 12, on the ecological side of it, it says spills may penetrate the soil, causing groundwater contamination. Spills form a film on the water surface and cause damage to organisms. So I have a contradiction here between what has been told to us versus what they have actually provided as the true scenario of them staining our streets. I have copies, photos, if you will, that I could leave you to show some of the damage that they are doing to our streets. And of course, we just had a very nice rain that I'm sure washed some of this into our storm drain. In addition to our neighborhood, we just so happened that we ran into a note that was on next door, and there's another neighborhood just across from Guacome, just north of Guacome Lake in the park. They call it the Berry neighborhood. I think the streets are boysenberry, strawberry, et cetera. Their streets were worse than ours. So I look at this as not a one-off. I can understand maybe a bad preventive maintenance. I can understand 1 or 2 things maybe every 5, 10 years. But we've had 3 in 16 months, and now this other neighborhood has had the same experience, actually worse than ours. And I believe their streets were recently paved within the last couple of years. So now you have this stain. Waste Management came out the other day, put some type of solvent down, came back and power washed. I'm sorry.
Right, thank you.
okay.
Mr. Ripa, our Assistant City Manager, Michael Gossman, is in the back. I'm going to ask him to go ahead and meet with you right now in the foyer
All right,
right now, so
I appreciate that.
thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy Knott, followed by Leo Chapinski.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. First, want to thank the city for taking and doing their work around the city. We had no major complications, I shall say. Our system really worked that we have built because we had no major catastrophe that had to be addressed. There was some issues, but no major one that would have the media swarming the city. But I will ask that the city would start looking, as one of the issues that this gentleman was pointing out, that we have different contaminants being flown, driven by the rain into our creeks and rivers and other basins and stuff. and we have the different filters. But who is in charge of those filters? Is it the property owners, or is it the city that puts in the swales or puts in the different filter mechanisms? You know, this is something that needs to be looked into. And if it's not being maintained, are they actually being a code enforcement looking for things to, you know, say, you know, is this yearly being addressed? This is something that may be not, shall I say, punitive, but reminders if it is the property owner's responsibility. So I would encourage the city to do such. Also, the other side of the coin is that we need the water. And I want to thank God for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo Chapinski, followed by Alejandro Sanchez.
Okay, we're gonna change gears a little bit, Mayor, City Council. I want to invite each and every one of you right now, and I have witnesses here. I want to invite you to join me and the other homeless of Oceanside for breakfast tomorrow morning at 6:30. Now, the Vice President couldn't make it. I wrote a special letter to his wife, Usha Vance, the Second Lady of America. I sent it in both Hindi and I sent it in both English. And I asked her, I said, please have your husband join us for breakfast over there at Brother Benno's. Well, he didn't show up. And I said, well, you think he'd be nice enough to join us veterans on the third Thursday, which is tomorrow, all of us from the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the war on terrorism, and all these other wars we've had. He didn't show up. And I said, well, you know, it'd be really nice if he came to I go to 8 different churches, this is just one of them. At 7 o'clock in the morning, please share with the body and blood of Jesus Christ with me at the Mission San Luis Rey. So I get there at 5 a.m. 9 weeks later, 8 or 9 weeks later after I sent her the letters. And sure enough, there's 4 large CHP trucks, huge, never seen them. And then at 5:30 came the FBI. At 6 came the Secret Service guys. Now I'm up front. That's my job, is to be up front on the left. Unfortunately, the vice president decided to sit on the right side, darn it. And all my friends got pictures and stuff. I even have a picture of him getting communion from the priest, which is a pretty good picture. And so he shows up, and then, of course, his entourage leaves. But the Second Lady of the United States of America does read her mail. And I'm definitely going to talk to her about, what do you think? Safe parking. I'm going to talk to her about having our vehicles towed away so our 70, 80, and 90-year-old ladies on the street living in the bushes, they can live in their car instead. Because code enforcement's gone crazy. Ticket here, ticket there, let's pull, let's take. These are people's homes. They may not seem like people to you. They may seem despicable and deplorable, and a lot of us are probably disposable. But we got to start treating our brothers and sisters with compassion, because there will come a time when you are no longer walking this earth, and your soul shall stand in front of the man, and he'll look at you and say, so, I see how you treated my children. Things are not going to go well, I guarantee it. So please, join us for breakfast. We have the same thing over and over again, weenies and scrambled eggs. And I'll try to make sure they don't throw any extra shells in there for you, because that does happen occasionally. Thank you.
Thank you. Alejandro Sanchez.
City Council members and staff, my name is Alejandro Sanchez. I've been around for over 25 years advocating for children and families all over North County. This is my uncle, Marcelo. Marcelo Rubi, he's been so proudly volunteering, just like me. I remember when they started Brother Beano's, not Brother Beano's, Bread of Life, on Apple Street. It was in 2003, I remember, February 9, 2003, when they started business here in North City. my uncle volunteering like 17 years, every day from Monday to Sunday. Then he bought a motorhome and moved to a place over to Icalo Raking, next to the North County Transit Center on Del Norte or Del Monte Street. I submitted to you guys, every single one of the city council members, 5 exhibits with a small little letter indicating, and every single one of the attachments, the first attachment is the story about my uncle. You're gonna see bread and light picture there and the service of my uncle. Oh, by the way, my uncle is an American citizen. Don't look at him as an undocumented or illegal person. 74 years old, I repeat. I wrote down a letter, very short, denouncing the unlawful practices of our police department, our Oceanside Police Department, and code enforcement. Oh my goodness, code enforcement, parking code enforcement. These people are evil, and they don't live by they preach. I was looking, the mission of the Oceanside Police is to protect the vulnerable and serve the community. The mission is to be trusted and respected by our community while ensuring a safe environment where all can thrive and prosper. That's not true. That's not true. On attachment number 2, my uncle received over 25 tickets just because his motorhome got broken right there. And the police knows that he lives there with my aunt, Filipina, that she's got a heart attack and she had to go back to the Philippines. Now my uncle is alone, lose his Social Security benefits because unfortunately he's got a life insurance, and they said, well, she's gone and you got to prove this and that. Then he proved it, and still they discontinued his benefit. Now on top of it, he's got to pay over $2,500 in tickets, which is ridiculous. The tour pages about my uncle's story, certificates, it's just too much. So I'm planning to have a campaign, very strong, all over the nation, because this is enough. They have to know how you do business here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's it for the public communications on off-agenda topics, items. Okay, next, item number 22. Staff recommends City Council adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, 13, 16, and Chapter 11, Article 2 of the Oceanside City Council to reflect adoption of the 2025 editions of the California Building Standards Code, including local amendments. This was introduced on November 5th, 2025 on a 5-0 vote, and it's before us for adoption. Anyone?
No speakers.
No speakers, okay. There's a motion to adopt. Okay, there's a motion second. Please title the ordinance.
Thank you. This is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 6 and Chapter 11 of the Oceanside City Code by the adoption of the 2025 editions of the California Building, Residential, Electrical, Mechanical, Plumbing, Energy, Marine Building Standards, and Fire Codes, and the 2024 Uniform Swimming Pool, Spa, and Hot Tub Code.
Thank you. Let's vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. We have, what's left is basically public hearing items. Those are time certain at 6 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break at this time until we get to our public hearing items at 6 o'clock. So a break until 6 o'clock. Thank you. Staff recommends the City Council receive public comment and accept the report on water quality relative to public health goals. I'd like to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and our correspondence.
Staff only.
Staff.
Staff?
Staff only.
Mr. Navarro, do we have any correspondence and or petitions?
We do not have any correspondence or petition on this item.
All right, we're going to go ahead and begin with a presentation by Jordan Alejo, Management Analyst for the City of Oceanside.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Jordan Aleo. I'm the Environmental Compliance Officer with the Water Utilities Department. I'm here today to present the report on water quality relative to public health goals. Staff recommends that the City Council receive public comment and accept the report on water quality relative to public health goals. The Public Health Goal Report is a California mandate that is required every 3 years. It highlights all contaminants found in our drinking water that are above public health goals and maximum contaminant level goals here in the City of Oceanside. And included in the report for each constituent is a numerical public health risk, type of risk to health, and also the estimate of the cost to implement best available technologies. So some definitions: public health goals and also the maximum contaminant level goals are all just recommendations, either from the state or federal government. These are set at levels which are no known or anticipated health effects. And lastly, the maximum contaminant level is the only regulation and mandate, is a federal and state mandate, and is the maximum level allowed in our drinking water. So the city tests routinely for about 90 different substances to see which ones are above the PHG or the MCLG level. This study was done for the years 2022 through 2024. And of course, Oceanside's drinking water quality continues to meet all California Division of Drinking Water and US EPA drinking water standards set to protect public health. This table here shows the 7 different constituents that exceeded the PHG. Listed are their corresponding PHG or MCLG and their MCL and their detection range. The PHG report mandates showing the health risk associated with most measuring at about 1 in 1 million risk of drinking water exceeding the PHG over a person's lifetime. Also listed are the best available technologies associated with each constituent and the yearly cost to treat each constituent to below PHG levels. And again, PHG exceedances do not constitute a violation of drinking water regulations or indicate the water was unsafe to drink. An analysis was done to see which best available technologies were best to treat each of the constituents using a few different sources. In 2025, the cost to reduce these level of contaminants to below the PHG or MCLG was calculated to cost approximately $39 million per year. And to reiterate, the City of Oceanside continues to meet all state and federal standards. Staff recommends that the City Council receive public comment and accept the report on water quality relative to public health. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. This is the appointed time to hear from the public regarding this item. Has anyone signed up to speak on
We
this?
have one speaker, Jimmy Knott.
Okay, Mr. Knott. And then if you did not sign up to speak, you still have an opportunity to speak on this item because it is a public hearing. Mr. Knott?
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. Also, I have been the 2018 Senior of the Year, and I am speaking on behalf of a lot of seniors who have voiced concerns, and also members of the public as well who have taken me aside. And what it is that you have a group of people that like water, but they like water that tastes good. Our water lacks. And you can see it by the excessive bottle purchase of water that we have in our stores, and use of the machines that you pop your quarters into and they fill their containers. And then you see little ladies in their 70s trying to lug those 5-gallon bottles away. Now, they also have raised concerns to me about PFAS. What's the level into our water? They have rubbed the about drugs. What is, and so we have, recycled water that we're using now. What are the constituent drug levels, since we do have recycled water, that are in our water? They're concerned about that. I even have had young men come to me and say, since I sat on the Utilities Commission, What level is it? Is it going to affect me? Is it going to affect my sperm? What's going to happen? There's a lot of questions like that. Then there is a question in the mobile home parks and multifamily communities. We have separate systems that tag along and connect to the city. They aren't being tested. There is no requirement that they be tested. When will they be tested? What's going on with the water, like say in my mobile home park or any other mobile home park or other communities in multifamily community? Then there's another big issue, is that you have people that like to go use things like trails and stuff, where people like to congregate. There's no restrooms. We have even parks in our city that are being used that have no restrooms. They have to use the available tree if they can find one. So those are a few issues that need to be addressed.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to address this very specific topic, which is water quality relative to public health goals? Is anyone wishing to speak? You can please rise, approach one of the two podiums, state your name, and then you have up to 3 minutes to speak. I see no one rising, so I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing and go to the council.
I move we accept the report.
Okay. So no comments from the council because this is to, we have received public comment. No motion is actually required, but are there any comments from the dais? This is, no motion is required. All right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and receive the public, accept the report, and we have, in fact, received public comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 16 is staff recommends City Council introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 32B of the City Code, introduce an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 32D of the City Code, and adopt a resolution adopting a Parks Impact Fee Nexus Study, Capital Improvement Program, and revised Parks Impact Fee. I'm going to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and our correspondence.
Staff and public.
Staff and public.
Staff and public, and this is throughout several years.
Staff and members of the public.
Staff, public, and I'm also the liaison for the Parks and Rec Commission, so also with the commissioners of the Parks and Rec Commission.
All right, Mr. Navarro, do we have any correspondence and or petitions?
We received some correspondence on this item, and they were forwarded to council prior to the meeting.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and get a presentation by Manuel Gonzalez, Parks and Recreation Director. Mr. Gonzalez?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Manuel Gonzalez. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation, and I'm also joined by Julie Cooper, who is a principal with Economic and Planning Systems Incorporated, and will be providing updates to the Parks and Recreation, or excuse me, Park Impact Fee. Staff recommends that the City Council introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 32B of the City Code, introduce an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 32D of the City Code, and adopt a resolution adopting a Parks Impact Fee Nexus Study, Capital Improvement Program, and revised Impact Fee. In 1991, the City of Oceanside adopted a Parks Impact Fee to be levied on new development. The city collects the Parks Impact Fee when a certificate of occupancy is received, and the deposit in the parks and the funds are deposited in the Park Fee Fund, which is used to ensure that the new residential development projects provide a proportionate contribution towards the development of parks and recreation facilities. When the impact fee was developed, the price was $2,200 per dwelling unit, and the cost to acquire and develop an acre of parkland was $200,000 per acre at that time. On December 4th of 2019, City Council approved a contract with EPS to prepare a nexus study to update the park impact fee. In September of 2021, the state of California adopted Assembly Bill 602, which requires updates to the parks impact fee be calculated proportional to a residential project's size rather than the existing fee methodology, which is to collect a per residential unit basis. The objective of the legislation was to encourage smaller, more affordable housing projects and ensure that the fees were aligned with the actual impact of the development. The city published this draft Nexus study for public comment in the spring of 2023, and the city and EPS met with community stakeholders as well as members of the building and industry representatives. This happened in April of 2023 in anticipation of bringing the item to the Parks and Recreation Commission on May 9th. Based on feedback that the city received, the city did not bring the item to the Parks and Recreation Commission and started to work with EPS to update the Nexus study. Following a 2024 Supreme Court decision in Sheets versus County of El Dorado, the city contracted Harrison Associates to conduct a review of all of our development impact fees, including a peer review of the Nexus fee or the Park Impact Fee Nexus study that was completed by EPS. Harrison Associates provided several recommendations, including using a statistical regression analysis that correlates the average number of occupants per unit to the size of the unit. There are some significant changes in the methodology of the new Nexus study being presented to City Council this evening. Although the methodology in the original Nexus study meets the requirement of AB 602, the city wanted to make sure that the methodology of the Nexus study was consistent with the methodology being used by Harrison Associates as they develop the impact fees for other areas. Among these changes were that the Nexus study published on February 6th of 2023 did not differentiate between single-family and multifamily units. The maximum fee per square foot based on the average size residential unit was $6.45, which is slightly higher than the proposed fee for single-family units, but less than the proposed fee for multifamily units. The maximum fee per residential unit in 2023 was $17,738 per unit, and that's for the draft Nexus study, which is less than the maximum fee for single-family units that is proposed in the current Nexus study. The original study used our established standard of 5 acres per 1,000 residents that was established in the city's community facilities and general plan in 1990 and reaffirmed in our Parks Master Plan in 2019, whereas the current Nexus study uses our existing standard, which is, or existing service level, which is 3.6 acres per 1,000 residents. The 2023 Nexus study calculated the park impact fee based on the cost of developing parkland, community centers, gymnasiums, and paved trails. The 2023 Nexus study also assumed that the cost to develop an acre of parkland was $515,000, which is significantly less than what is actually the cost of to develop an acre of parkland currently, which is more than $1.1 million. The Nexus study currently proposed removes the gymnasium, the community centers, and the paved trails because we do not anticipate building any new community centers or gymnasiums prior to 2035. And the Nexus study removed the paved trails from the fee calculation because we anticipated that these fees will be collected as part of a future alternative transportation fee. The 2023 Nexus study projected to generate $13 million in revenue, which is lower than the current study because the current projected population growth is more than 3 times what it was 2 years ago, and the cost per resident was $554 less than the current study. And now I'll ask Ms. Cooper to review the methodology of the current Nexus study and the proposed impact fee.
Thanks, Manny. Again, my name is Julie Cooper. I'm a principal with Economic and Planning Systems, EPS. Glad to be with you this evening. So just to give you a little background on what an impact fee is. So impact fees are a type of fee, again, that cities can levy on new development projects to pay for their impacts to a variety of city services. It is governed by the Mitigation Fee Act, also known as AB 1600, as well as other related legislation. Again, they are fees that are paid by new development to pay for the needs of new residents. They can fund all different types of capital projects, such as park acquisition, expansion of facilities, or building new facilities. They cannot fund, however, to fill any existing deficiencies in your service provision or to fund operation and maintenance of your Parks and Rec facilities. As Manny mentioned, you do currently have a fee. The fee is about $4,400 per unit. It is not differentiated between single-family and multifamily units. And it has only been updated periodically over the last, I guess, couple of decades based on just cost escalation indices. Most recent update was in 2015. So the methodological approach that we used in the Nexus study, and a Nexus study is part of the requirements related to the Mitigation Fee Act in order to either establish or update a impact fee, is, as Manny mentioned, we used your existing service level to calculate the fee, so the 3.6 acres per 1,000 residents. And so what we're doing here is we are measuring what is the incremental cost to provide parks and recreation services to each new resident that enters into the city. So therefore, the fee amount is not dependent on how much growth you're expecting to see in the city, but rather, again, on this incremental cost for providing the services to each new resident. And the number that Manny mentioned, as I'm showing here, the cost of that is based on what it typically costs to develop an acre of parkland in the city. So this number, this $1.1 million, was informed by projects the city has recently undertaken or is planning to take. And again, your service level was derived by looking at your current parkland inventory and your current population. So the math here is just taking that per acre cost and dividing it by the acres per 1,000 that you currently provide, and that gets us to a cost per resident of about $4,100. So it costs about $4,100 to provide parks and recreation services to each new resident that enters the city at the current level that you are providing those services to your existing population. Again, as was mentioned, new state law requires, or new-ish state law requires, that the fee be levied on a per square foot basis as opposed to a per unit basis, which is how it's levied now. To do this conversion, we took the fee per person, the $4,100, and we divided it by minimum unit sizes for both multifamily and single family. These minimum unit sizes were established by your other consultant, Harrison Associates, based on data on housing units from a variety of public sources. And so that gets us to a fee per square foot. And the idea here is that even a very small unit is going to have at least one person in it. So we're capturing the minimum amount. At the smallest unit size, you're still going to add one more person to the population. The minimum unit size is kind of cut off here, but is about 680 square feet for a single family unit and about 440 square feet for a multifamily unit. So bringing it all together, here's the math. We have our fee per person of about $4,100. We're dividing it by the minimum unit size and getting to a fee per square foot of about $6 for a single family unit and just over $9 for a multifamily unit. Just to provide some context, Harrison Associates also established an average unit size for housing in the city of about 1,900 square feet for a single-family unit, about 1,000 square feet for a multifamily unit. And so on average, we would expect new single-family units to have to pay a fee of $11,500 per unit, and multifamily units about a fee of about $9,400 per unit. We've also established a maximum fee per unit for single-family units. Again, based on Harrison Associates regression analysis, there does become a point where adding more square feet to a unit doesn't cannot be correlated with adding more people to the unit. And their finding was that on the single-family side, at about 4,100 square feet, you can no longer say that any unit bigger than that is adding progressively more people. So by establishing this maximum fee per unit of almost $25,000, we're saying that any unit that is built that is larger than 4,100 square feet will just pay this maximum fee. They won't continue to pay it on a per square foot basis. We didn't establish a similar maximum fee for multifamily because the same analysis found that the point at which the correlation between unit size and people in a unit sort of decays is over 7,000 square feet. And it's extremely unlikely that you would see a multifamily unit larger than 7,000 square feet in the city. Finally, we are demonstrating here that impact fees do not pay for all of your capital improvements. They're not supposed to. And so looking at your projected resident growth through 2035, this is based on SANDAG data. SANDAG projects that you will add about 11,500 new people in your city over the next 10 years. And if we apply the fee per resident, that comes to a potential fee revenue of around $47 million. This is as compared to the cost for the capital improvement plan that's included in the fee study of about $220 million. So again, the impact fees will just fund a portion, and the city will have to look for other sources to fill those funding gaps, whether it's grants or general fund revenues or other sources. And finally, just to provide, again, some context for how this fee compares to neighboring cities in San Diego County, the proposed fee, again, on an average unit is around $11,500 for a single family and around $9,500, $9,400 for a multifamily unit. And as you can see, that would be among the highest parks fee in San Diego County.
Okay, so this table demonstrates the current fee as well as the proposed fee. Staff is proposing a phased approach for the increase of the fees, with the first increase occurring on January 20th of 2026, which would increase the per square foot, or would establish the per square foot price of $4.18 for the single family units and $6.79 per square foot for multifamily units. There would be an additional increase on January 1st of 2027, which would get us to $6.03 per square foot of single family units and $9.24, which is for multifamily units, which is the maximum justifiable fee based on the Nexus study. This would generate a projected $47 million through 2035, as previously mentioned. Additionally, the fee will increase automatically on July 1st by the greater of 2% or the percentage change in the construction cost index. The BIA also requested that townhouses be assessed at the recommended single-family rate as opposed to the multifamily rate. And the justification was, for this request is that townhomes function more like single-family homes. These projects typically include a significant amount of open space amenities such as green belts, community recreation centers, and tot lots, so residents rely less on the city park system. The California Residential Code defines a townhouse as a single-family dwelling unit, even if it is part of a development that has multiple units. This would only apply to townhome developments and not to other types of higher density condominium developments such as stacked flats or apartments mapped for condominium purposes. The proposed resolution ties the single family unit and multifamily units rates to the base densities of specific residential uses described in the city's zoning code. There were some concerns that were raised with Appendix A of the Nexus study dated on August 23rd, 2025, that was published for public review, and we have subsequently amended the Parks Capital Improvement Plan. The issue was that we initially used this as a comprehensive list of all of our capital improvement projects that included maintenance projects which are not allowable in the Mitigation Act. The intent was really to demonstrate that the park impact fee represents only a portion of the funding required for all of the capital improvement projects that are needed in Parks and Recreation. The amended Appendix A represents a comprehensive list of the projects that are eligible to be funded with park impact fees. And although we have not identified parkland acquisition, City Council can amend the Parks Capital Improvement Plan to add projects in the future. To conclude, staff recommends that the City Council amend city ordinances, chapters 32B, replace chapter 32D, adopt the Nexus study, the capital improvement program, and revised impact fee. Ms. Cooper and I are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anyone have questions based on the presentation? I do have a question, and then Deputy Mayor has some questions. This is the first time, really, that I've seen units that are being proposed and being approved. They're so much smaller than before, like 300 to 500 square feet, and then pretty dense projects and 7-8 stories. So you took that into account. I was thinking between 300 and 500 square feet, but you took that into account in your calculations?
So again, the minimum unit size was calculated by your other consultant, Harris and Associates. Our understanding is that it's based on building permit data as well as data, parcel data that they obtained from GIS, San Diego Geographical Information Systems. I can't speak to what extent it's taking into account maybe projected small, very small or micro units. But again, those fees are those units are going to be assessed similarly on a per square foot basis. And I can't really speak again more to that.
Okay. The council has given direction to build a gym or potentially more than one gym. I anticipate that we would probably want to, hopefully at least one of them will be, we would build before 2035. We could still use the funds generated for that purpose, correct?
So we have funding identified for the design of the gymnasium, and so if we needed to add the construction costs, we could amend that capital improvement plan to include that. And yes, these fees could be used for that purpose.
Okay. So we wouldn't collect it now. Is that what you're saying? Or this would be included in the calculations?
The calculations
Because you took out gyms and you took out some trails and you took out something else.
Correct. The fee is established based on the cost of developing parkland, not the cost of construction of the gym. But the gym construction could be, the park impact fee revenue could be used to build the gymnasium.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
I'm going to drill down because those were very similar to my questions too. So when would we amend this list in order to be able to use these fees?
So what I would anticipate is that as part of the annual capital improvement budget, that this list could be amended at that time.
Okay, so that would be the appropriate time. All right. And then the second question was, following up on the mayor's question, we do have units projected at smaller sizes than that. So are you saying that they weren't used in this calculation, or that but it's this minimum size? Does that mean they're still going to be assessed the same way every other unit is?
Again, I can't speak to whether or not they were used in the calculation of the minimum unit size. And I don't believe we've set a minimum fee, but if we have, then even those smaller units would pay a minimum fee. I know we've set the maximum fee, but.
So just as we're going to public, because I'm sure there's public comment, I just want to make sure that that none of our units fall out, because they fall outside of that prescripted number of square feet, that they miss assessment through the new parks fee schedule.
Well,
So maybe
they'll
just
still
check on that.
pay a fee. They will still pay a fee. So for instance,
Okay.
if you did set a minimum fee, so you said, okay, like at minimum, you have to pay X fee.
Right.
Any unit smaller than the minimum unit size would still have to pay a fee. They would just pay that minimum fee. There's not the only units that will not pay the fee are ADUs smaller than 750 square feet, and that is per state law.
Okay. Okay, I understand that. I'm going to do some math while others are speaking. And then my last question is, what is it required that we use existing level of service versus the 5 acres per 1,000 individuals, or is that a choice?
We can use the established service level of 5 acres per 1,000.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Figueroa. Oh, wait, did you want to do a clarification, Mr. Burke?
I think it was adequately addressed, but the resolution as written does not provide for a minimum at this time. As the consultant identified, it would be the per square foot fee based on the square footage of the unit. Now, the data that was used by Harrison Associates to aggregate that number included a wide range of existing units. And that's where the baseline number of approximately 444 square feet came in. And whether we are seeing a number of units that come in below that would be a question I'd defer to planning. I'm aware of one project in particular, but beyond that one project, I can't recall seeing units that are that much below there.
Thank you.
And I have a separate issue related to the minimum on the multifamily, but that would be not something I would recommend disclosure here.
Councilman Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to ask a similar question in regards to the report on the service standard adopted versus what was adopted in 1990 and 2019 of 5 acres. And so I thank you for answering that question. The second question I have, because I see some of the commissioners in the audience, and just for clarification before we go into public comment, on the report it says that the park impact fees may not be used to address existing deficiencies, but may be used to refurbish existing facilities, to maintain the existing level of service, and then based on what we can and cannot use the fees for. In regards to what has been presented in the report, everything under enhancements, the fees can be used for, correct? So that is like Joe Balderrama Park restroom improvements, John Landis Park improvements, some of the rail trails, Sepulveda Park improvements, all of that the fees can be used for those improvements?
The amended Appendix A that was provided in the staff report, or all of the projects listed on that can be used, or the park fund can be used for that.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to clarify that before we go into public comment.
Councilmember Robinson.
Thank you, Mayor. And just on the townhome, and I appreciate staff discussing with the BIA and the townhome, and unfortunately their representative wasn't here, and we got I got it, I think we all got it, but I got an email from them just with one concern, and I said I'd bring it up, is basically they were concerned that a townhome designation would be based on dwelling units per acre. So not being an expert in this, I'm just going to read theirs, that under the method only projects at 21 dwelling units per acre below would qualify as single-family townhomes. And then they go on to make the case that there's an example of where 8 townhomes on a 10,000 square foot lot was built, and that would exceed the density while still clearly functioning as townhomes. So is there, I don't know who can answer that, but a townhome to me is a townhome. We all know what it is. Does it matter what the density is on where it's built for this to apply?
Can I defer
It's per person,
the city
right?
manager?
Mr. Gonzalez, yeah. Oh, defer.
Yeah.
Mr. Burke? Or Mr. Borrego?
Sure.
Wait a minute, okay.
Sure. Look, it's an interesting question. When the analysis was initially performed, the data was aggregated on single-family and multifamily units. Townhomes at that point were considered multifamily units. As part of the analysis, we did look at whether single-family attached homes, such as townhomes, could be appropriately reclassified. In order to do that, we would have to agree on what a definition of townhome is. While you contend townhome may be a simple definition of townhome as a townhome, it's not so clear. Under the residential building code, there's a definition, but there's not a definition within our land use element or zoning ordinance. So what we look to, similar to our other impact fees, was how we assess that, and it's based on the land use category. Here, what we looked at was medium density residential in Article 10 and corollary zones outside of Article 10. Higher than 21 dwelling acres per unit classifies in high density. Right, so even though you may have had a 8-unit apartment, or townhome project on 10,000 square feet, half an acre, that calculated out above 21 units per acre, but it makes it difficult to implement by staff if we have unclear definitions. So the land use category most closely mirrored what we do with our existing impact fees while addressing this concern.
And you're referring to density bonus projects?
No, this is calculated on the base density for the unit. It does not calculate based on whatever the max density or density bonus would be. It's based on the base unit density of the district.
All right. I did want to ask the city manager a question. There was a question regarding the use of the fees for construction for a gym, and it was, Mr. Gonzalez indicated that we could amend to include that at budget time. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is if in fact, the gymnasium study that you referred to progresses as we've discussed, and through that study, we determine the location, and it looks like we're going to be able to break ground before that 10-year window, then at that point, we, as part of the CIP program review annually, we would make sure that we added that to the list so that we had the assurance that we could use that money for that project.
Is there a way to record that in writing somehow so that later on, after this year, say, that would be something that people could see? That was a discussion we had, and our understanding of being able to amend the use of the fees for construction, say, of a gym at the budget time.
I mean, I would be happy to put something in writing, maybe in a memo form that we can memorialize and distribute to council so it's on the record.
All right, that would be great. All right, so this is a public hearing. We haven't forgotten about you. This is what we asked were clarifying questions so that when you get a chance to come up and speak, you'll have all the information. So this is a time for public to address the council on this item. You do not have to have signed up. However, I know some people do sign up. How many people have we got at
We
this
have
time?
6 registered speakers.
Okay, we've got 6 people who signed up, and after they finish being called up to speak, I will then ask if there's anyone else that would like to address the council on this item. So let's go ahead and start calling the list.
Our first speaker is Steve Burrell, followed by Jimmy Knott, to be followed by G.T. Warthen.
Mr. Burrell?
Steve Burrell, Oceanside, Mayor Sanchez, Deputy Mayor Joyce, and council members. I just wanted to speak in favor of this and remind you that not too long ago, we had an extensive survey of the seniors in this community. And one of the things that came out of this survey and the other work that we did with listening sessions was a strong desire to have more parks and more program, because it is parks and recreation. So there's both the acquisition and the land and all of that entails, but there's also the program. And even though we can't spend this money, it sounds like, on everybody all at once, the fact is, it seems to me, is if you have a development in a neighborhood, that's going to benefit everybody in the neighborhood, is it not? And so we need to keep that in mind. And parks help build community. They do a lot to get people together, and it crosses every line, gender, age, financial status, everything. So they're a very important element of making this a more livable city, which was what the age-friendly thing is all about with ARP in the city, make it a more livable community. I think this would help do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knott, followed by G.T. Wharton.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott. Excuse me. First off, when I was listening to this, I started to thinking, is this a family tax? And did they study the demographic of the users of our parks and trails, et cetera? And what about the repeat users of the community systems? And those townhouses, what's the use of the lodging? What about group homes? Are we going to be imposing upon them? There's things that come up about the use of these facilities for the future. And what impact, let's say, a senior on low income move into a home? What's the effect on them? And will this be a burden upon them? I think some of the goals we need to start looking at is accessibility and affordability to all, and maybe an alternative payment system that could be considered for those who can't afford. Maybe taking consideration some of the societal problems that we have, like homelessness. Maybe we could have park monitors that could live on site, that could take and maybe, let's say if they have an RV or the mobile home that could live on site, that could be a park monitor and caretaker. That could be an emergency response or could take and help in some situation. That would take and help out with secondary problem, both at the same time. And let's say that there's a developer in a community that would wish to make a large item donation like they do in Carlsbad. I've heard that they've done some offhand agreements with those large item developers in lieu of. So those are a few ideas I think you might want to stop, take a breath, and consider.
Thank you. G.T. Wharton, followed by Joan Bachman.
Good evening. My name is G.T. Wharton. I'm a District 3 resident. I'm co-founder of Strong Towns Oceanside. I'm also an economist by training. I took a look at this, and I just want to make a few comments now. The proposed fee proposal, these do not cover the costs of the Parks and Rec department or the long-term costs. You saw that this very complicated thing that was proposed only was going to generate about $47 million, but you saw how much it was going to cost in the next 10 years. It didn't even put a dent into that. And then the presenter said that Oceanside would have to be looking for grants to come up with the difference. Just so you know, that's how all the departments right now are working in Oceanside. They're chronically underfunded. They're looking for grants. They don't have sustainable recurring funding sources, right? So this is a one-time fee for new developments only, right? And these types of fees just get pushed onto the residents themselves. So if you're a developer and you see this fee, you just pass it on to the cost of housing for the end user. Just like tariffs, we saw the administration, our federal administration put tariffs on food. That just got pushed onto working class people. Now they're paying more for groceries. So the money doesn't just come out of nowhere, it comes out of our residents' pockets. So this is a win-lose type of proposal, right? So we win a little bit of money on the front end, but we lose in the long term. We also, who is footing the maintenance bill for the new parks? Because there is no, this is a one-time fee, so what's going into the maintenance of these parks? Well, we won't have the money for the maintenance. We're gonna be in a deficit like we are right now, because we heard that from the city manager that in his recent Measure X survey that the city has $678 million in underfunded projects across the city. Okay, so it's not just Parks and Rec. Our Police Department, for example, is still in the Mega Foods grocery store since 1999, right? So why are we working on this sort of regressive way of doing things instead of thinking about recurring property tax and sales tax revenues that are not going to just fizzle out, but continue to grow? Those types of things would be like mixed-use residential in downtown where they're constantly generating revenue, but yet when those things come to city council, they get shut down. So the very thing the city needs to have recurring property tax and sales tax revenue to fund its myriad its public services, we're not creating them. And so I think, yes, this will work in the short term, but no, it will not work in the long term, and no, it will not actually cover the cost of Parks and Rec and the new things they're going to be creating. Thank you very much.
Joan Bachman, followed by Diane Nygaard. No, Joan Bachman, followed by Kellen Sue, followed by Diane Nygaard.
Hello, Mayor, Council. Joan Bachman, I am with Friends of El Corazon. But I was a planning commissioner, as you remember, for 9 years, and I never once heard a developer say, things are going great, we're going to give back. All they ever said was, money's tight, we need a break, we need a break, we need a break. And now it's time. This hasn't increased since 1991. Yes, there were little adjustments, but the fee itself hasn't. And all we're doing is getting up to Encinitas' current level. They're going to raise it. So we're still going to be behind. So please take the maximum amount. I talk to people about parks all the time. Either they're complaining to me as a member of FELC, or I'm just out in nature a lot, and I'm always talking to people about that, and obviously talk about parkways a lot. These are very important things for people. And it is time to give back more from developments that are happening. And people are making a fortune, or they wouldn't be doing it. They're very popular, okay? And then there's investment vehicles. There's all ways to make money on real estate. And some of it does filter down. But we've got to set these fees to make sure that the money is flowing in the right place. All the other cities have already done it years ago. So we've lost all that money, plus everything that has been approved recently is not getting this. And then there's a phase-in. So I think it's a very small thing to ask to put this in at the maximum level we can and vote yes for that. So please vote yes on this as proposed. I wish it wasn't phased in, but if that's what it takes, please vote yes.
Thank you. Kellen Sue, followed by Diane Nygaard. Commissioner.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kellen Sue, Oceanside resident. You're all aware of the timeline of the developer impact fees, that they have not been updated in far too long. Even the process for updating them has taken 6 years. The Nexus study was started 6 years ago. This amount of time has cost the Oceanside community an unknown amount, but certainly would have helped with the $200 million unfunded parks projects, including Park Site 1. We have 8 more parks planned at El Corazon. We're short hundreds of miles of trails, an aquatic center, gymnasiums, and that's for our current residents. By delaying the increase, you are choosing to either leave these projects unfunded, hoping a mysterious, unknown funding source is miraculously discovered, or using taxpayer money. Perhaps you're concerned that it will cause developers not to build. However, Oceanside is not desperate for developers. If one developer doesn't want to pay the fees, they can go find another coastal community with space that is vibrant and soulful, has Michelin-awarded restaurants, and hosts excellent events year-round. They might have a hard time, though. We are not desperate for developers who want to short our residents. Why not have developers and new residents pay their fair share? Why give more time so developers can take advantage of our low fees? There's no advantage to Oceanside residents for slowly implementing this fee. Developers have already had advance notice. They are the only ones who stand to benefit by delaying the rollout of this developer impact fee.
Thank you. Diane Nygaard.
Honorable Mayor and Council, Diane Nygaard, representing Preserve Calavera. With these park impact fees, you have the opportunity to do something wonderful tonight for our community that will touch the lives of everyone who lives, works, or plays here. We've been waiting over 30 years for this, waiting 30 years while the list of unfunded park projects gets longer every year. This is a hefty increase, but it is based not just on a Nexus study, but on a peer-reviewed Nexus study. The objective is for new development simply to pay its fair share. But this has already been adjusted multiple times at the behest of the BIA, not at the benefit of the Oceanside residents. Staff has recommended a phase-in of this fee. I submit that the huge number of density bonus projects who locked in the old fees are already giving us the substantial phase-in of this fee. So please, the people of Oceanside deserve nothing more than full, immediate implementation of these proposed fees. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, those are the folks that signed up. You did not have to have signed up. If anyone in the public wishes to address the council on this item, please stand, approach the podium, state your name, and you have up to 3 minutes to talk. I see no one rising, so I'm going to go ahead and close this part of the public hearing and go to the council. Deputy Mayor Joyce?
Thank you, Mayor. Just appreciate everybody weighing in on this. This was really important update. If you've read the report, there are definitely needs that have been unaddressed, and I'm not saying that we're going to address them with these fees, but we should probably have already had fees that are doing that work. For instance, if you look at the 901 Mission project that was just approved, it paid a $1.4 million in these fees, but under the new rules, they would have paid 3.7. So there's a huge delta between what projects we'll be playing for the next, considerable future. Even if we adopted these magically today, which we can't do, there's a delay in their adoption. It would still not apply until those projects come way down the line. So even taking action now, the benefits are going to be at least a year plus off from when they finally get adopted. So in that spirit, I'm really asking us to move quickly because it's really important. We can't slow roll this, and every time we undercut it, there are rules in place that when developers get their preliminary SB 330 application in, they lock in those rules. So the longer we wait, the more open the door stays and the less we are able to backfill all of these issues. So I'm gonna make a motion. I'm gonna include a couple of changes to the recommendation in my motion. I'm going to motion to adopt the fee schedule as is with these changes. I would remove the maximum for single-family homes. So if folks are building mansions, that they pay for every square foot. As we are already charging more on our multifamily homes, folks that are living in multifamily homes per square foot already, we should be charging for every square foot that's built on all the homes and not just cut it off at a number. So that would be eliminate the mansion carve out. The second thing that I'm changing in this adoption is that we eliminate the phased-in approach. And I think this is important for a couple of reasons. One, we see that the state is acting with hostility to our own choices. If we delay the implementation of this for over a year, I think it's extremely likely that the state makes a law that says you can't raise this. They've already come down our building codes through 3031 that we can't change any of those. So there's just no reason to wait. There's only risk in waiting. And so I would say that if we think this is the right policy to adopt, we should adopt the right policy and not adopt the right policy over the course of 2 years, which gives everyone, years to get under the bar of paying their fair share. And then the last would be to set a minimum fee per unit. And that, just under some quick calculations, if you look at the micro units that are going in on Seagaze, they would be paying less under this calculation per unit than our current fees if we use that calculation. So that's if we don't have a minimum, we would be actually giving away parks fees to some developments if we're not properly setting this. So those are the 3 adjustments to the adoption, and I will look to my colleagues.
All right.
Can I interject really briefly?
Yes.
So we have a couple items here tonight. First, we have the introduction of the ordinances, and secondarily, we have the resolution adopting the fees. So if we can kind of separate those out, the ordinances don't specify the fees. They don't have these issues. So if we want to take a motion for the ordinances at some point separate from, but the ordinance should be updated because that's going to be what then drives us the ability to make the resolution that's going to adopt the fees. So I understand the motion.
Are you saying there's too many changes to it?
No, I'm not saying there's too many changes at all. I'm saying, does the motion include the adoption of the introduction and adoption of the two ordinances? If so, I'd like to have a separate clean vote on the ordinances, and then we can take up the resolution.
So I think that's what is included in the motion with 3 changes. The no maximum with respect to the fees. And I think you mentioned managing carve-out. To be effective within 30 days of adoption, basically, instead of waiting. And the third one was,
So it was the minimum, but also eliminating the 2-year phased-in approach.
yeah, eliminating the phase-in.
Well, the phase-in component, we can't eliminate the portion where it requires a 60-day tail. That's a requirement of state law. So I understand the motion to be not phase it in 1 year and then the second year, but we cannot shorten the 60-day implementation from the adoption.
60-day implementation? I thought it was 30 days. It's 60? Okay.
That's right. As written, the effective date is January 20 of 2026 in the current resolution.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Figueroa?
Just, thank you, Mayor. For my clarification, Deputy Mayor, can you clarify the third amendment, please, for me?
Yeah, so the current adoption is per square foot, where it's a number of amount assigned per square foot for each unit. And if it was assuming that we wouldn't have units too small, but we actually do have those units getting built. So if you looked at a 300 square foot unit, which some of the micro units are as small as, and you multiply that times the per square footage, they end up paying $2,000, do you remember what it was? $2,500 or something, which is lower than the cost per person to do what we're supposed to be doing, which is about $4,100 per person, according to the Nexus study. So they wouldn't be paying enough to cover the park's work that we need to do per person because the unit's so small that it is not meeting that threshold with the square footage. So it would be to say the minimum, every single unit would have to pay at least as much as one person's worth of Parks and Rec fees.
Understood. I think staff mentioned something where ADUs are excluded. Am I incorrect? So state law excludes ADUs?
No, there's a maximum.
Sorry, so ADUs smaller than 750 square feet are excluded, but an ADU that's 750 square feet or larger could be subject to the fee.
What about if it was manufactured home, like a manufactured, pre-assembled already home? How would that play out?
I'd have to defer to city manager or a planning manager as to how those are.
Those are two separate contracts.
It'd be based on the square feet, okay. So I have 2 questions. The first one is, have we taken a look, or do we know what the fee would be if we didn't apply the existing service level of 3.6 acres? If we apply the 5 acres to the 1,000 residents?
I don't know it like off the top of my head, but it is something that, again, we did calculate in the previous Nexus study, but that was also based on different cost data. So we'd have to go back and recalculate it based on the adopted service standard.
Okay. And then based on the report provided, the projected revenue of $47,113,000, that was based on the implementing this fee structure on the phased implementation, correct?
No, actually, it's based on if you were to adopt the maximum fee, because again, it's based on your growth projections. So based on growth projections from now to 2035, if you were charging the maximum fee. So
60 days from now.
Right. So it would, if you phased it in, then I would assume our projected revenue would be slightly smaller.
So it would be less than 47,000?
Correct.
I mean, 47 million, I apologize. Okay. No, thank you. I would second Deputy Mayor's motion.
Councilmember Robinson?
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. I will just say up front, I can't agree with the, I'll use your language, the mansion fee. I think the calculation they did, there's making some assumption, oh, if you build a big house, then you're going to fill it up with all these people and there's impact to the parks. I just don't agree with that. I think in the calculations and the formulation that was done, it made sense. So I really can't support that. I would say this is that on the townhome issue, and I appreciate our city attorney's explanation, I just wish there was some way that we could get something to say, staff can look at this also for townhomes as a form and function as well as, if the density's an issue or there's some sort of appeal process that we can build in there so a developer can come and say, look, this is a townhome project. And I just think we're kind of setting this up for two different styles of townhome projects. And I don't know if that's something we can amend the motion to or just staff can just take a look at. I'll leave that open. And other than that, when you listen to this whole thing, there's just this, I think it's interesting that this whole assumption on fees is based on that every unit in the city built is going to have people using parks. And fact is, we got a lot of people that live here that don't utilize parks, and it's they're going to be paying. They're going to be paying too for. Because I think somebody is spot on when they said, hey, the developers are going to pass these along to the cost of the housing or in the rents or things like that. But it's just that's just the way it is. But I probably will vote no if you keep the large development language in there.
Councilmember Weiss?
I just have a question for the city attorney. And the proposed ordinance, section 32B13.
Did you say B or D?
B as in boy. You get my question, don't you? It's an appeal process. So I'm presuming we needed to have two actions, one on the ordinances and then a separate one on the nexus study and the reso on the fees and the capital improvement program.
That would be my recommendation, is to have a clean vote on the introduction and titling of the ordinances and a second vote as to the resolution and the nexus study and the fees. That would be the recommendation.
So the deputy mayor's changes are going to pertain to the reso, not the ordinance. Is that correct?
That's correct. The ordinance sets up the structure generally and tracks state law in terms of how we apply implementing fees, impact fees, whereas the resolution adopts the nexus study, incorporates the nexus study, and then as well lays out what the fee is, including the schedules and different things.
So should we vote on
some of the changes to the ordinance are recommended irrespective of what you do with the parks fee, is the point. There's been changes to state law that require an update to Article 32B. And there's also a portion of the ordinance that's necessary for the implementation, which is we're removing the prior, what was it, 32D, which was the MAP Act version of parkland dedication. We're removing that and moving development impact fees under the Mitigation Fee Act exclusively into Article 32B for parks. And so that would be a predicate to then adopting the resolution for the parks fees.
So do you want to make the motion just on the ordinance first?
To be clear, I understood the motion as made and seconded to include, and we could simply vote separately on the two items.
Right, that's.
Okay,
So,
then I will be supportive of the changes in the ordinance, but I have a couple questions for staff. One, if you go to the maximum, right now, our total impact fees are about $80,000. single-family unit. You throw in the service, plan, check, and inspection fees, just our fees alone are over $100,000. But I have a question for the city manager. So with the 47 million we're getting, we're still going to have about 170 million shortfall that says it's going to need to come either from the general fund or grants. Is there a plan to fund that $170 million shortfall?
As of right now, no. As the city councils are aware, we do actively pursue grants for most of our park projects. I think it's also important to recognize that we do, as was mentioned a couple of times during tonight's meeting, have a very long list of unfunded CIP projects. City Council may recall that we did receive direction to go through a process of prioritizing those CIP projects. I will report, because it is timely news, that we just brought a consultant on board to assist us with that prioritization effort. And so I think through that prioritization effort, there will also be a conversation about the funding mechanisms needed to get us to where we need to be. It is, as was mentioned earlier, these impact fees are only designed to cover a portion of the need. Otherwise, they would be astronomical fees and no one would build anything here in the city. So there is a balance to be struck. And I think it's also worth mentioning as well in this conversation, based on some of the public comments that we received this evening, as council may recall, we're also in the process of updating our other impact fees, and that study is underway. That includes our traffic signal and thoroughfare fees, our drainage fees, and our public facility fees, and has been discussed by this council recently. We're also exploring an alternative transportation fee. We expect those fees to increase as well sometime next year. So when staff was devising this Parks and Rec fee and taking all this stuff into consideration, it is something to be mindful of. At the end of the day, we also have to report all of our impact fees to the State Department of Housing and Community Development, because if fees get to the point where they are considered to be an impediment to development, then we get in trouble by the state for being too excessive. So there is a delicate balance here, and I understand it is a delicate balance. We certainly don't want to shortchange the community, but at the same time, there's other considerations to be considered as well through this process.
But part of my concern is with the $170 million shortfall, which is an existing deficiency, that's going to need to be made up by existing residents in some way, shape, or form. We're raising the standard thinking we're going to get all these wonderful parks where the reality is it's not ever going to happen unless the existing residents, as I think Mr. Wharton commented, you either put on some type of a parcel tax or some other way of coming up to address that existing deficiency. And so just a final question to Ms. Cooper. Because we're looking at, it's not even developers, it's new residents paying their fair share. And if this goes in the absence of having a funding plan for the balance, new residents will pay their fair share, but existing residents are not going to be paying their fair share. Would that be accurate?
Well, they won't be paying their fair share through this fee.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Barrio?
Honorable Mayor and Council members, I also wanted to mention one other thing too that's worth mentioning. The subject of El Corazon came up this evening as well. You may recall that staff was directed to come up with the financing strategy for El Corazon, which we have developed and have discussed preliminarily over the years with council in terms of capturing some of the revenue from El Corazon to put back in a park development. We were waiting until this exercise concluded first because there is a correlation. Now that this exercise is presumably coming to a close, we will soon be coming back to the City Council with that financing plan. As you may recall, El Corazon was designed in such a way that the revenue derived from those non-park portions of the facility would help fund the improvements of the park. And so we intend to still bring that forward as well. So that should help offset some of the costs up to developing the parks at El Corazon as well.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Joyce?
The only other pieces I had to add were for future consideration. We have a lot of developments that are waiving their open space. Like that maybe consideration for a higher fee if they're not providing open space within their developments like they're supposed to. And then also finding a way to use maybe carve-outs of this to help with the building of affordable housing, either waiving or reducing the fees there. And then I would ask for council to consider directing staff to establish a rule that we don't grant discretionary extensions on projects unless they agree to pay their fair share in park fees. And I've had some conversations with the city attorney, so he said that there may be state law that conflicts with that. So I would just ask that we explore what that looks like to make sure that if we are granting ones that we have discretion over, that we make sure that they're paying their fair share.
Affordable housing projects are treated differently with respect to impact fees. So that would not be a detriment, a deterrent, impact fees in general to building affordable housing. So that is definitely something that's already in the law, yes.
The inclusionary units? Because
No,
that's what
I'm talking
that's what I
about
meant.
100% affordable housing projects.
Right. I just
Yeah.
know, because so much of our affordable housing is now coming as part of these projects, maybe it would be good for us to find a way to help spur that.
Right. Councilmember Figueroa?
Thank you. I just want to mention, in regards to the 47 million, it's still substantial. I think that if we were just to look at the items listed under enhancements throughout our city, that 47 million can cover 25 out of the 27 listed projects here. And so it's still a substantial amount. I know that we are considering a new gymnasium, and I would love to see one on the eastern part of the city. But it's still that 47. It doesn't go without mentioning that it can cover, the
Still
majority
hoping
of
for
the
a
items
gym
on the
over
enhancement.
at Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so, Mr. Clerk, are you clear on the changes to the staff recommendation?
I have the removal of the maximum fee cap for single-family homes, the elimination of the 2-year phased-in approach, and the setting of a minimum fee per unit. Were there any others that were added in there?
I think effective within 60 days of adoption is what I understand.
There's no change on that component. That's already built into the
Okay,
resolution.
all right.
I
So no
just-
phasing in?
Correct.
Okay.
I would just add clarification in terms of when we're talking about setting what the minimum fee would be. I assume we're talking about the numbers that were presented in the report orally this evening because they were not in the staff report.
No, well, I'm utilizing the minimum that was, the minimum fee would be established at the fee required per a single person, which I believe was 4,105.
So there was a different minimum fee established, or at least was proposed in the Nexus study based on the unit sizes.
That was for the 444?
I think I'd have to look, let's just clarify that really quickly.
That's going to be the same. Those two calculations are the same.
Great, that makes sense.
Cool. So that would mean units that are smaller than that smaller size would just end up paying the fee that is for that size of a unit. Okay.
All right, so the first motion is with respect to the first step of the motion, let's call it the first step, is to introduce the ordinances, and that's ordinance amending Chapter 32B and ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 32D. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have two ordinances before you tonight. This would be the introduction and first read of both. We can accept a single vote on both. The first would be an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 32B of the City Code, and the second, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside repealing and replacing Chapter 32D of the Oceanside City Code.
And the two can be taken into One.
Single vote, yes.
Single vote, all right. There is a motion and a second for the first step. Please vote.
Do we need to introduce the ordinance?
He did.
I believe I just did that.
Motion approved, 5-0.
All right, now the second step is to move approval or move adoption of the resolution. Correct?
That's correct. This accepts the Nexus study and adopts the resolution setting those fees with the modifications that were made by the motion.
All right. Councilmember Robinson, did you want to speak before?
I just want to make sure your motion is standing as you made it correctly.
I believe so.
Yes, I believe eliminating the maximum goes hand in hand with the reducing the minimum.
Okay, I just want to know, I'm not going to support it. I'll vote no for that reason only, of the maximum.
All right. Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 3-2. Robinson, Weiss, Smith.
All right. So next is item number 17. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution increasing the solid waste user rate ceilings to include Waste Management's request for multi-index rate adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and open this public hearing. Request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and/or correspondence.
Staff, public, and waste management.
Staff, public, and waste management.
Staff.
Staff and a few members of the public.
All right. Mr. Navarro, do we have any correspondence and/or petitions?
Looks like all the correspondence we received on this item was forwarded to council prior to the meeting.
All right, thank you. We're going to begin with a presentation by Ken Prue, our Zero Waste Program Manager. Mr. Prue?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Ken Prue, Zero Waste Program Manager for the Water Utilities Department. The item we have tonight is for the Waste Management annual request for a multi-index rate adjustment. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution that increasing the solid waste user rate ceilings, including to include Waste Management's request for a multi-index rate adjustment. The city's current agreement with Waste Management was adopted by the City Council in 2022, and initial rates were adopted in 2023, and amended user rates were amended in December of 2024 for implementation for calendar year 2025. Waste Management collects solid waste, recyclable materials, and organic waste from residents and businesses and city facilities located throughout the city. It also provides additional value-added services to our residents, including bulky item collection, landfill and donation weeks, drop-off of a household hazardous waste at a local collection facility, and curbside collection of household hazardous waste items for the elderly and disabled residents. The current contract allows for a multi-index adjustment with a 5% limit. For years where the limit would be greater than 5%, the dollar value of the remaining balance would roll over to a subsequent year. For calendar year 2026, the remaining balance will be applied to 2027 during a cost-based review. I will describe more about the multi-index adjustment methodology and the calculations for calendar year 2026 in the next slides. As shown on this slide, the multi-index adjustment is based on various indices, including the Consumer Price Index, as well as for fuel and motor vehicle maintenance and employment, and changes to processing and disposal costs. This methodology is to ensure that we are taking in the rising cost of waste management providing these services while protecting the residents and businesses from large fluctuations in the rates they are charging for solid waste and recycling collection services. There was a lot of careful consideration in setting this up and to ensure that we are partners in this. The annual multi-index adjustment calculated for calendar year 2026 is just over 7.2%. And because it is over that 5% threshold or cap, the remaining balance, the value of that balance, about $940,000, will roll forward to calendar year 2027 when the next rates are studied. And Waste Management also requested an extraordinary increase for labor and labor costs increased and disposal costs increased. And that request is included in the agenda packet for this item, but staff does not recommend this increase because those are considered, the labor and the disposal costs are considered in the multi-index adjustment methodology, and Waste Management agreed to this methodology. I also wanted to mention that this was brought up by Waste Management similarly last year for calendar year 2025, and that extraordinary request was not taken forward for consideration by the council for those same reasons. And for calendar year 2027, the contract allows for a deeper dive into costs to provide these services, and that will be studied for calendar year 2027. This table shows the three most typical or common levels of service or bundles for residential customers for single family. And across these three most common rates, the average increase would be $1.65 per home per month. Similarly, this table shows the most common, some of the most common commercial services, and whether it's the commercial bundle, which is the lowest level of service for our commercial customers, or for a standard service once a week for recycling, for trash, or for food scraps. And across those different services, it's about a $5.44 increase per item. And so fiscal impact, there would be a fiscal impact to our customers through those increased rates, but there is no direct fiscal impact to the city. And I also wanted to mention that Waste Management began billing our customers directly in 2023. And with that, there is no pass-through or consideration of fees for the city or to the city. The Waste Management basically bills for the approved rates and collects those fees from the customers and provides those services. So again, the recommendation is that the staff recommendation is that the council approve a resolution increasing the solid waste user rate ceilings to include Waste Management's request for a multi-index rate adjustment. And that concludes my presentation. I wanted to mention that Daniel Butler of Waste Management is here to answer any questions or concerns you may have. And he also has his 3-member recycling outreach and technical assistance team here, and they have been engaging our residents that have been present here tonight, and we're glad to have them here as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, this is the time to hear from the public. You did not have to sign up, but generally people do end up signing up to make sure that they're called first. How many people have signed up for this?
Just one.
One person, okay. Mr. Knott.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Cherry Lanes, also senior rep of 2018 Senior Citizen of the Year. And that's what I want to speak on partially, and that is a lot of seniors, especially our low-income seniors, have approached me and asked, why isn't there a senior discount? I've investigated, and yes, private contractors can, if it is in the agreement with the city, can offer a low discount, low-income senior discount. I would encourage you to consider that option and ask Waste Management to take that back and come back to you with that consideration. Also, there is a problem with one of the services, and that is the food waste collectors, the brown containers. And that's to do with vectors, flies, other pests. And there's supposed to be cleanliness involved with that. When it was initially proposed, there were supposed to be monthly cleanings of the containers, shall I say. Well, not really. It's really bad sometimes. I would also encourage Waste Management to take pride in Oceanside and show commitment by employing our homeless to be street sweepers, in exchange for shelter and minimum wage training benefit that would help their image in this public relations effort. And consider a new fee on visitor waste products to match Waste Management's contribution in such an endeavor. I think this will serve both the public and Waste Management's image. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address this, please rise, approach the podium, state your name, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I had just a quick question on the fuel.
State your name.
Lane
for
Stewart,
the public.
425 South Fremont Street. Since the collection of green and food waste that is being used by the biodigester to make methane that gets injected back into the SDG&E gas lines, how much methane does the biodigesters, the waste management uses to provide fuel for their own vehicles? And how does that apply to their wishing to increase our bills to pay for fuel if they're making it on their own? That's just my concern.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council from the public? I see no one rising. I'm going to go ahead and close this part of the public hearing and ask staff to respond to, I think there were some questions from the last speaker.
To clarify, was that the question about the biofuel
Yes.
use? I can't speak to that, but I believe Daniel Butler from Waste Management would be able to.
Okay, Mr. Butler?
Hey, great to see you guys. So the material we collect residential curbside goes to our facility right here, our compost facility. So it's not turned into biogas or anything like that. It's compost and mulch. Just wanted to respond.
All right, thank you. I think the part of the question was the value of that and how that is used towards the calculation.
I don't know the value of our compost and mulch. I know that we do provide free pickup for residents for residents of the City of Oceanside to come and pick up. We do have giveaways as well. I don't know the value in the marketing side. I can get back to you on that, I believe the resident had a follow-up to what I said. He mentioned about our food scraps as well. We do process from our commercial side. We bring it up to our facility in the Burbank area up in Sun Valley. That is turned into a cake type material that is brought to an anaerobic digester, but is not put back into the grid.
All right, thank you. Okay, to the council. Councilmember Robinson?
Thanks, Daniel. You sat down too soon.
I'll stay right here the whole way, don't worry.
Yeah, I think, and we met on this, and I think it'd be informative if you would talk a little bit about the tipping fee increases and stuff and how they're impacting.
Well, I appreciate that. Really, the tip fee increases have been exorbitant from 2022 when the rates were set up into the beginning of this contract, January in 2024. At the time of the RFP agreement and the negotiations, we had set expectations for a particular tip fee based off of forecasting, off of normal increases, CPI, et cetera. Between that time and 2024, rates increased by more than 20%. We came to staff, we asked them for that increase to true it up. They met us in the middle. We were still chasing $10 a ton at that time, at the start of the contract. 5 months into our first year, another increase hit for the tip fees, which was another 20%. So then we were chasing $20 a ton from June 1st, 2024 through the end of that first year. Then in 2025, rates went up another 10%. We received the 5% capped increase, which didn't catch us up on disposal. So we've been chasing that disposal tip fee for the entirety of this agreement. So that's where that 4.59% request came from.
Thank you. Is there anything we can do locally to impact tip fees, or is it, are you just at the whim of?
Transfer stations.
Right, so we don't have any local landfills, we being WM. One thing we are considering proposing is what we call a medium volume transfer operation in the city, where we can internalize some of the tons that we pick up in the city, keep it in the city, process it, and then transfer it out to our own landfills, and that could present some rate relief.
In your discussions about rates and stuff, I'm just curious, have you ever looked at alternative ways of charging customers? You know, I'm kind of talking about myself, so we have 3 different levels of.
We could charge you differently.
Containers.
No.
Well, and probably should, but.
And more.
Exactly, and that's probably what I'm going to argue for here in a second. But, you know, we got folks that are very good. They use the small containers. They minimize the amount, and then the middle. And then there's folks like me who have the large containers, probably are greater contributors to the tipping fee fiasco, I guess. Have you ever looked at, and I know it's not something we're going to fix here, but I'm just curious, or any systems that look at graduated costs based on the size of the containers, different than I know we pay for a container size. I'm just talking about if you're a bigger user of residential.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you kind of touched upon what I was going to respond with, is that we do have lower rates for smaller volume generators. To Mr. Knott's point on potential senior discount, we do have a 32 to 35 gallon option that's cheaper than the typical 96 gallon size, the normal cart that you probably have, right?
2
of them. And then we do charge extra for someone who does have another cart. So we try to incentivize less trash and more recycling and organics. So you're allowed to have, I believe, and you're going to have to stop me here, but I think we allow for 2 more recycling carts at no additional charge, and 1 more green organics cart at no additional charge as well. So if you have the space at home, you can have all of those other options rather than the trash option.
Have we ever looked at like green waste? I know rarely is my green waste full on the weekly pickups. Have we ever looked at doing something where it's, instead of a weekly pickup on those, that it would be every other week or bi-week, you know what I mean?
No, we haven't explored that. We can discuss, but I think the weekly option is the best form. I think Oceanside is at the forefront, especially in San Diego County, when it comes to green waste processing. We've always been
get that volume. It gets that volume in there more regularly.
Yes, with El Corazon especially, it's been a magnificent program.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do something real unusual here because it's not going to be popular, but I'm going to make a motion that we approve staff recommendation, plus we include the requested 4.59% for the tipping fees only, and not the, I don't know if I'll get a second on it, but that's my motion.
Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. I'm going to go ahead and move that we adopt the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 18, staff recommends City Council and Community Development Commission, number 1, adopt a resolution certifying an environmental impact report for the Oceanside Transit Center redevelopment and associated mitigation
Recording
monitoring
in progress.
and reporting program. Number 2, adopt a resolution approving a general plan amendment to change land use designations from downtown, coastal transportation and utility, coastal residential high density, and coastal general commercial to a specific plan. Number 3, introduce an ordinance for zone amendment to change existing zoning designations from downtown district, public transportation and railroad, and high-density residential, public utility and transportation, office professional, coastal, and medium-density residential, coastal, to specific plan, and consideration of the OTC specific plan. Adopt a resolution approving local coastal program amendment. And number 4, adopt a resolution approving vesting, tentative map, development plan, and regular coastal permit for approval of the Oceanside Transit Center specific plan and redevelopment of the Oceanside Transit Center into a mixed-use development project consisting of an integrated intermodal transit facility, multifamily residential units, office, and hotel uses on a 10.15 acre site at 235 South Tremont Street. This is a reconvening of a public hearing from the last time this was heard. At that time, we closed the public hearing, public comment period, public comment portion of the public hearing, and continue this. I'm going to go ahead and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and or correspondence.
Since the public hearing from the public.
Same from the public.
One member contacted me of the public, and then staff, plus we've received some emails.
Members of the public, I also spoke with representatives from the project and staff.
Since last meeting, representatives of the project and staff.
I do have to correct mine. I did meet with somebody from the project. That's right, since the public hearing.
Since the first part of the public hearing. Okay. We're going to, at this time, hear from Darlene Nicandro, Development Services Director for the City of Oceanside. Ms. Nicandro?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. The item before you tonight is regarding the Oceanside Transportation Center, or OTC. As the mayor laid out just now, this is the recommendation provided by staff. Some quick background. On October 7th, there was a special meeting of the City Council and the Community Development Commission, which considered approval of the proposed project. The public hearing was opened and then closed, and then City Council and the CDC deliberated. There were several issues of concern. Those are listed here, which I will go into further detail, and the agenda item was continued to tonight's hearing. Very quickly, here's a picture aerial view of the OTC site as it stands today, as well as some photos. The proposed project includes redevelopment of the site into a mixed-use transit-oriented development, as well as the OTC specific plan. So the first item that I'd like to address is prevailing wage and local jobs. The City Council sought clarification on the amount of project construction-related jobs that would be available for local labor and how many jobs would be subject to prevailing wage. The proposed project would generate approximately 5,000 jobs, 4,400 of which would be temporary during construction and 650 would be permanent. The project anticipates $100 million worth of public improvements, which would be constructed with prevailing wage jobs. That would average about 257 construction jobs per month for the construction duration. For the applicants, prevailing wage jobs for private improvements would increase construction costs by 20 to 25%, therefore rendering the project economically infeasible. The applicant has noted that they are hiring a general contractor for the project and recognizes the city's preference for hiring locally based labor. The second item is concerning the bus circulation onto Missouri Avenue. During public comment and council member discussion, there was a concern raised about NCTD bus circulation onto Missouri. Citing safety and air quality concerns, residents living adjacent to the project site contended that NCTD buses should continue using existing routes like Seagaze Drive for ingress and egress and be prohibited from using Missouri. This slide shows a picture of Missouri as it is today. It's my understanding that since the October 7th meeting, members of the community who'd raised concerns in NCTD have met at least once in an attempt to address the concerns, yet the project remains the same. According to NCTD, bus circulation must be managed per daily operational needs, real-time circumstances and events. Flexibility is crucial to delivering safe, efficient transportation. It's important to note that the city has no direct oversight of NCTD's bus operations. And in terms of the air quality concerns, NCTD has stated it's in the process of replacing all diesel-powered buses with zero emissions fleet. Third is the timing of hotel construction. A concern was raised regarding construction timing of the hotel, especially because of concern that the transit occupancy tax wouldn't go to the city. We wanted to clarify that the OTC specific plan memorializes a two-phase construction and that the hotel, as shown in this diagram, would be constructed in phase 2. Condition of approval number 27 is included in the resolution, which requires the applicant to comply with the phasing plan outlined in the specific plan. The previous meeting, a resident requested that condition of approval number 93 be amended to include parkways, and we have done so. And also, there was a request to include a condition of approval regarding traffic demand management plan, and that condition already existed. It is condition of approval number 25. The City Council raised concerns about the safety of the multimodal integration along Cleveland Street, where buses, cars, and bicycles share access to and through the site. This project is one of 8 mobility hub prototype sites within the San Diego region, identified by SANDAG's Regional Mobility Hub Strategy, which has a prime objective in increasing mass transit ridership and improving NCTD's operational efficiency. The applicant and NCTD have developed a plan that prioritizes pedestrians, and the applicant has indicated that a dedicated bike lane was studied during the planning process. However, it was found to be inconsistent with Oceanside Bikes Master Plan and NCTD policies. Here is an overall view of the Mobility Hub Plan, which accounts for bicycles, pedestrians, and vehicles. The next issue is removal of the site from the downtown district. Concern was raised about replacing the existing downtown district portion with the specific plan land use designation and the potential impact of that on the zoning ordinance's 5,500 residential unit limitation on the downtown. Currently, the downtown district, as shown on this slide in the illustrative, the downtown district only applies to non-residential areas of the project site, shown here shaded in brown. The planned residential areas are not located within the downtown district. The next item is regarding open space. There was a statement made that the public realm is shrunken and very small. Here is a picture on the right that shows the existing OTC, which is predominantly made of hardscape and has limited seating. The proposed project would provide an excess of 150 square feet of open space per unit. So for example, the minimum square foot required for the project would be about 88,000 square feet, yet the project provides approximately 101,000 square feet. The project also includes development of a 40,000 square foot centralized station plaza with canopy trees, shade structures, public art seating, and will maintain view corridors. That plaza would also facilitate community activities and events. In addition, staff has added an additional condition of approval requiring the applicant and staff to collaborate on the plaza's final design and signage for consistency with the city's downtown projects. In addition, the 1,900 square foot city-managed community room would complement this open space. The last item is inclusionary housing percentage. There was a request that the project provides 15% low-income affordable housing. The project provides 10% low-income and 5% moderate-income units, resulting in 82 out of the 547 units. This would exceed the existing inclusionary housing ordinance requirement of 10% low-income. And we had submitted a local coastal plan amendment to the Coastal Commission to increase the low and moderate income housing from 10 to 15%. However, it has not yet been certified for the coastal zone areas. The project would contribute to the city's regional housing needs allocation. And according to the applicant, this potential change to 15% low income would render the project economically infeasible. This slide outlines what has been done in terms of environmental review. That analysis has been conducted in accordance with CEQA and that an EIR was prepared. Again, here is staff's recommendation. Staff is here for any questions you may have, and the applicant is here as well to answer anything you may have. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, to the council. There are no lights. Councilmember Robinson.
I'll move to adopt staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Joyce.
This is a really important project for the downtown, for the city in general. It is definitely the gateway for anyone not using a car to get into our city. This is the gateway. I'm just being 100% honest. It has been frustrating, and it's felt like, even though I know this is a very large and a very complex development, it has not felt like we were always a partner in this. It felt like this was what we're gonna get, whether we liked it or not. And unfortunately, this is public land, and it shouldn't have been like this. And it felt like we were treated just like any other developer that comes in and uses density bonus to kind of push through. Even with some of the responses tonight, and this isn't on staff, but this is the responses that they received from the developer, saying that we want more open space in a project that we would have liked to have been partners from the beginning on, but then justifying it with comparing it to current conditions is like, well, yeah, most everything you do there is gonna be better than a parking lot. I mean, that's obvious, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a project that has a tremendous potential, and it was frustrating that was kind of the trap of the conversation from the beginning. It was, well, this is obviously better than what it is now. And so to that effect, I agree there are things in this project that are really good, and we don't see them in other projects. We have a community room, which we need community room space. We try to get access to our community room all the time, and it's always booked because it's so popular and because it's such a well-used and loved community facility. So adding basically doubling our community room space down here downtown in one swoop is not a small thing. It is a huge connector project on folks getting into our city, and it definitely improves the arrival factor for folks coming into our city off of the train. So I would actually ask our engineering, I have questions about the roads, because there's a proposal to potentially put roads on, buses on Missouri or Michigan. Thank you. Could you describe the build of those roads as they currently exist?
Well, currently, thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor Joyce, Honorable Mayor, City Council members, Brian Thomas, City Engineer. Currently, the roads are under-designed for the particular use that we're looking at. Typically, we're like two inches of asphalt over 5 inches of aggregate base or road base. The geotechnical report from the applicant has proposed to increase it to 5 inches of asphalt over 11 inches of aggregate base, which is a pretty stout section. So we can continue to work with the applicant on that to make sure that the roadways are designed correctly and will last a while.
From my understanding, it's only part of the road that they're saying they're going to do that for.
Typical conditions of approval require the frontage of the property all the way around to be half width. So half the street would meet this. So what we would propose is to work with the applicant to deal with both sides of the street, or more importantly, look at how the bus route is going. So if we have a two-way street and they're only using one way, one direction, then there's really no reason to have them rebuild the other side of the street if the buses aren't going on that side.
So the buses are one part of the factor, but it's also the large amount of cars that are going to be coming into the project too, and they'll be coming in, I assume. I mean, if the applicant wants to speak to it, they can. So from the conditions that we have, I'm not satisfied that those streets are going to hold up under what is there. I think we need to add a condition of approval that Missouri and Michigan are rebuilt in a way that reflects the need within this development coming in. And so I would ask if that could be included in the condition, in the approval motion.
I would like to hear from the developer on it and see what they're willing to do.
Arlene Tendick, back again. It's our understanding that condition 102 already speaks to this. So if we want to maybe take a peek at that one and see if it gets to the heart of what you're talking about, Deputy Mayor. I believe
you have to give me a moment. There's a lot of conditions.
I think it does refer to coring, and then depending on what the result of that analysis is, then the road would be restored appropriately.
So from our understanding, this only addresses the direct frontage, and it's only half the width, that's what's described.
So it would be half of Missouri, half of Tremont, half of Seagaze. Michigan doesn't go off-site. So project frontage is what I believe it refers to. So off-site. On-site will be all new roads, so that would obviously meet the standard that's being discussed right now. Off-site roads is what we're looking at. So Michigan wouldn't be a frontage, but we could look at, question mark? We could look at extending the coring and the analysis to that as well, just to make sure that can accommodate buses.
So my question then is to our city engineer, would that exceed what would be required?
It would exceed what would be required under the current conditions, under the current standards that we have in place. It is above and beyond.
It's above and beyond a standard residential project. Do we have conditions in place for bus terminals in our?
The standards don't really differentiate between residential, commercial, industrial projects, Deputy Mayor Joyce. It's based on what the traffic loading is going to be for the project. So we have a half width.
So from my perspective, this is, as this is a discretionary project, I think we should absolutely exercise the discretion to make sure that we're not fronting the bill to rebuild these roads that are going to get absolutely destroyed, that are not prepared for the traffic and the buses that are going to be on them.
So let me ask you, maybe for our engineer, do buses currently run across this city, their normal routes on roads that are just like Missouri is today?
Correct.
Do 130 buses run on those roads every day?
Well, I don't know. I see a lot of buses driving up and down the streets. So I'll modify it to what we just heard. I'm sorry, I'm not technically. So if I need to change it to whatever the developer Arlene talked about, you got something else to add? Please.
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify, we would commit to continuing to do the analysis just to understand what we're actually talking about. I mean, to your point, buses run on these roads all the time, so really making sure that we do the coring, understanding what the needs are, and then continuing to work with the city to address. Is that fair?
And I think that in the requirement 102, if that's the one, it talks about the engineer working with the engineer and doing that. So maybe you can clarify it.
Hello, Michael McCann with Toll Brothers, Department of Living, Managing Director for the applicant. While I appreciate the concerns, very respectfully at this moment, I cannot commit to the costs that may or may not exist in some amount that I have no idea how much it would be, for some length of road that I have no idea what that would be. So at this point, for this hearing, I'm happy to work with the city to try to determine the scope of the issue. I'm happy to see if we can help facilitate a solution to the extent that it's needed. I cannot commit to funding the solution, whatever that might be. That's just a completely unknowable number at this point for a project I promise you cannot withstand an unknowable cost.
So with that, I'm not going to change my motion, but I do expect to take you at your word, sir, and that you'll look at it, work with our staff. So
absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm very disappointed. There are so many things, there are so many ways that this could have been a phenomenal project, our crowning glory. And I too feel that we were not consulted. I had one visit and I shared a lot of my concerns about the project early on, and I never got anything back. Nothing addressing my concerns, no excitement about this project, and I don't understand why. There's so many uses here, there's gonna be so many people, and yet we have one lane each way that everyone is supposed to use. Bikes, regular and e-bikes, cars, skateboarders, and a ton of people getting in and out of there to either pick somebody up or, park and catch a train, catch a bus. And yet there's housing, multi-units, including families, and also, hotel, and the parking is, right off the one road. it makes no sense to me that there could not be a bike path to make sure that people can drive and get to the destination, get in and out, facilitate that. And then to be able to satisfy the neighborhood right next to this without spending any money, really, to ensure that their neighborhood streets, which, by the way, the city's already working with them, have been for several years about traffic calming. So that's going to move forward. That is probably going to change a lot of what that Missouri and what is the other street? Michigan look like. It ain't going to be something that buses can go by, not with speed humps and whatever else we're going to be able to do to ensure that this neighborhood thrives, because we want the public living there. We want the public to be able to walk to destinations downtown and not be having to take transportation. So I feel like there were so many possibilities of encouraging that on this project. And you didn't do it, for me, you didn't do it at all. So I'm very, very disappointed in the lack of responsiveness by a public agency that we have a representative on. It's amazing to me that we're not all kumbayaing on this project because so many missed opportunities, and to have, basically flipped off the neighborhood as if, I don't care, just sell your home, move if you have to, but we're gonna have this project. Something that we should all be saying, yes, this is what we need. Better modes of transportation, public transportation, getting people in and out of the downtown. What a missed opportunity. So I'm not going to be able to support the motion. I think that I have to support the community here, which I think they've asked for very little, have in fact supported the project and said that they would support this 1,000% if you did this one thing, and couldn't do it. Councilmember Figueroa.
Mayor, I have a few questions. For our city engineer, I know not too long ago, I sat down with your staff and we went over the department's repavement plan for the city. Has Missouri, I don't remember necessarily the entire presentation, but where does Missouri stand as far as part of that repavement plan? If you remember, I know it was.
Honorable Mayor, City Council members, Councilmember Figueroa, I honestly don't remember where Missouri sits in there. It may be within the next 5 years. I'm going to bring up Victor Velasco. I think he's got a better handle on that.
That's a nice tie, by the way.
He is our principal engineer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you repeat your question?
Yeah, where does Missouri stand on the repavement plan based on the presentation that we went through, I think a couple months ago?
I don't recall off the top of my head right now, but what I could say is that I can get that information to you, but I don't have it right now.
Because it kind of seems like it's already a road with some challenges, and it seems like I know we went over some of the areas in the downtown area was part of the repavement plan. If that area was part of the repavement plan, would it suffice the current challenges that it has, or would it still require an extra level of service based on your professional?
Prior to making a recommendation as to what section we're doing, we kind of like do some geotechnical borings and we go from there. Oh, I just got the answer from our senior. That Missouri is not included due to a water and sewer project that is coming in the area in the next 5 years. So it's not part of the next 5-year plan.
So based on that project that's coming to the space within the next 5 years, does that mean that they're gonna get in there, they're gonna open up the road within the next 5 years? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, water and sewer is. Water and sewer has proposed work in the area, so it wouldn't make sense for us to go and do the road and then only for water and sewer to come in and open it back
But
up.
long-term, there is going to be a repavement that's going to take place then if that
Yes,
project's going in.
in the long term.
Yeah, so it seems like there's a long-term solution for Missouri.
Yes.
Okay. As far as when it comes to the community, I've heard from a broad range of folks throughout the entire city of, or that represent various places of the city of Oceanside, and there seems like this project has a lot of support based on what the folks in the community that I've spoken with. And so I do appreciate the applicant and the work that they've done and the folks in the community that shown their support for this project as far as getting folks utilizing Transnet and with the process. As far as for me, I know I entered this process much later on than everyone else on the council, but that's been my experience. So I just wanted to speak to that. So thank you.
Deputy Mayor Joyce?
Yeah, I'd like to make a substitute motion or a motion to amend. And the amendment is that they're not fixing one half of the street, but in fact, the whole street of the size that they are already obligated to rebuild.
And that is for purposes of buses going on these streets.
Buses and the, units, 500 units of traffic.
Is there a second?
Can you repeat that?
They're already going to fix half of the street. It's saying fix the whole street when you're doing it because the traffic is going to be working both sides. And the bus, all of the impact is going to cause an issue if the whole street is not done.
Is there a second? No, okay. So there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
I actually wanted to speak to the motion before we got to that.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah. So I just I had my light on for the other piece and now it's the second one. So I just before we start to vote, I want to just say a few things really quickly. I recognize that there are neighbors that are very frustrated with the process, and I get that. The communication has definitely not been up to the expectation. The next thing that happens if this is approved, then it goes to the Coastal Commission. And if they recommend or ask for any changes, then it will come back to us. So I just want to be clear that it's a very likely outcome that this still comes back to council again. I also believe that the buses would be moved to the south side of this project no matter what happens tonight, and that saying no to it is not going to fix that issue that some of our neighbors are having and very understandably are concerned about, but I just don't, even if we say no and keep this a parking lot and not make it into the development, I think those buses are moving either way. I also want to bring into the room Big Brother and SB 79, which presents a really uncertain future for the area around this and this property, and that I am very concerned that we could get a project that we are much less satisfied with if we turn it down. And then finally, this is transit-oriented development, and that is a huge plus for the overall project and for the sake of recognizing the climate disaster that we do face. I'm going to be voting yes.
All right, so it is actually not clear. In fact, I think it's our position, our city's position, that SB 79 would not apply to this project. But yeah, so there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-1, Sanchez, no.
All right, last item Item number 19, staff recommends Community Development Commission adopt a resolution approving a development plan, vesting tentative map and density bonus, and confirm issuance of a categorical exemption per California Environmental Quality Act guidelines, Article 19, Section 15332, to allow the construction of a proposed mixed-use development project comprised of 206 dwelling units, including 31 units reserved for low and moderate income households and 5 live-work units with ground floor commercial space on a 1.42 acre site at 810 Mission Avenue. I'm going to go ahead and open this public hearing. Request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and or correspondence.
Staff, the applicant, and public.
Staff applicant.
No contact?
No, staff applicant and public.
Contact?
Applicant and public.
Staff and applicant.
Mr. Navarro, do we have any correspondence and or petitions?
All the correspondence we have received has been forwarded to council, although we did receive correspondence from the Sierra Club, I believe, but that was forwarded to council prior to 5 o'clock.
Are you requesting to speak?
I'm sorry, yeah, I apologize. There actually was an introduction of an ordinance as part of the last package because there was a zoning amendment. So we voted. We're going to understand that as part of that motion, we were introducing the whole package, right? So just to clarify for sake of the records, there was an ordinance.
Did you want to title that?
I don't think we need to redo it at this point. You know, people are left, but this will come back for second read and adoption of the ordinance.
All right. So on this item, we were at the secretary, that is city clerk, was to present correspondence and or petitions, and you indicated there were none?
I think we received one but from Barbara Collins and the Sierra Club at around 4:12 during our previous special meeting, but our assistant city clerk forwarded that to the council prior to this meeting.
Thank you. So we have a presentation by Darlene Nicandro, Development Services Director. Ms. Nicandro?
Thank you again, Honorable Mayor, council members. Tonight I'm here to present to you the 810 Mission Project. Here lies staff's recommendation for the proposed project. Some background, 810 Mission Avenue is located here in the downtown. Has a general plan land use designation of the downtown and zoning designation of D2. It's located about a third of a mile from the OTC. And the site is currently used as the NCTD headquarters. There's photos of the existing conditions on this slide. The proposed project consists of a development plan, a vesting tentative map, a density bonus request, and the applicant had submitted an SB 330 application to lock in development standards and the fees at that time. The development plan consists of demolition of the existing NCTD offices and construction of a 7-story mixed-use building. There would be approximately 206 apartments and 5 live-work units with ground floor commercial. This is the site plan. The main entrance to the site would be off Nevada. Approximately 225 parking spaces would be provided over 3 levels of parking. Bicycle racks and secured lockers, bike lockers would be provided on site. The development plan provides a blend of historic and contemporary architectural style, featuring arch entryways, composite siding, and canopies. An illustrative of the proposed architecture is shown here. The landscape plan is proposed and shown on this slide. The Nevada Avenue Street locations are specifically designed for the project's preliminary stormwater, and it would be completely reconstructed, thereby requiring the need to remove the existing mature pine trees that are on North Nevada Street. The applicant proposes to keep the existing palms along Pierview and Mission Avenue, at least as the design stands today, as well as adding new palms along Pierview Way and Clementine. However, due to the resident concerns that have been raised, the applicant has offered to remove the new palms from the design and remove the existing palms along Pierview, but would keep the Mission Avenue palm trees. The project also includes a vesting tentative map. It would be a request to accommodate vacation of the existing public alley. Because of the filing of the SB 1330 application, the project is subject to the former 10% low-income inclusionary requirements. It's important to point out, however, that the project is reserving 10% of units for low-income households and 5% for moderate income. As described in the staff report, in order to accommodate the proposed density and provide the low-income units, the project cannot physically comply with all applicable development standards. Therefore, the applicant has requested waivers from the standards listed here. No incentives or concessions have been requested as part of this project. The government code outlines 3 reasons local government can deny waiver requests, including identification of written public health or safety standards. I've also listed the other reasons here on this slide. The proposed project would comply with the general plan's land use element, the housing element, as it would contribute to our regional housing needs allocation and provide a diverse range of affordable housing opportunities. It would also be compliant with the downtown zoning ordinance. This slide shows the community outreach that has been done for the proposed project, which is conducted in conformance with the city's enhanced notification policy. On August 20th of this year, at a special meeting of the Downtown Advisory Committee, the DAC unanimously recommended approval of the proposed project. This slide outlines environmental review and what has been done for the proposed project in compliance with CEQA. The project was found to be categorically exempt per CEQA guidelines section 15332 for infill development. Again, here is staff's recommendation for the Community Development Commission to adopt the resolution per staff's recommendation outlined here. That concludes my presentation, and I'm here as well as the applicant is here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
The public hearing, and this is a time for the public to address the council on this item. Did we have anyone sign up?
We have 7 registered speakers.
Okay, let's get started.
Our first speaker is Jimmy Knott, to be followed by G.T. Wharton, to be followed by Spencer Dominga Sanford.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Cherry Lane. I first have a confusing question. Does this really mean that the NCTD will be relocating their headquarters, and to where and to what jurisdiction? Because, you know, this is something that's been in our jurisdiction for quite a while. And with the reforms that are going forward at the transit center, that's going to impact a lot of people that come into the city. And with that, it also includes transient populations. I would encourage you to consider that as well. because the transient populations a lot of time have nowhere to stay, and this may impact a lot of their planning in the near future. If it is to stay here and somewhere in the city, then we need to take and make sure the amenities that are needed and shelter availability is close nearby. Thank you.
Thank you. And I actually forgot to ask the applicant if they wanted to do a presentation. Was there a request from the applicant to do a presentation? You have up to 20 minutes. What was that? Okay, let's do that first before we complete the public comments. Go ahead. No, now.
Thank you for making the time. I promise we'll make it brief. Arlene Tendick on behalf of the applicant. To answer Mr. Knott's question, actually, the Oceanside or the NCTD headquarters is being relocated from 810 Mission over to the transit in Tremont. So throughout our conversations, we've talked a lot about what the on-site management will mean for transit operations, but it does open up this additional opportunity for mixed income housing. We are providing the 15%, as Darlene mentioned, and also all of the extras that were done in response to community feedback for OTC have also been applied to this project as well. So modifications to the landscaping, the TDM plan and the Pronto cards, 100% electric, et cetera. Both projects were treated as one, as OTC is reliant on these market rate units as part of the funding structure. Just a couple things to point out. The design was inspired by Irving Gill. You can see that in the clean lines and the use of arches. We also looked at how to activate Mission Avenue and Pierview Way. So the live-work units that Darlene talked about are facing Mission, and then Pierview is nice and open with parkways and lots of landscaping to encourage that walkability. There's been lots of talk about the landscaping here. That was the biggest thing that was brought up to us from residents. So we are willing to remove the palm trees if that's the desire of the city. I know that new palm trees are easy to take off the plans. I would just differentiate between the ones in the public right-of-way along Mission versus the ones that are on Pierview, but ultimately we'll do what you guys want us to do. Again, this is the existing headquarters, and this is the new mixed income housing that we're proposing. We appreciate your time. I know this has been a long road. In addition to the outreach that Darlene talked about, as I said, this project was part of the bigger story about what we're trying to do with NCTD land in order to improve the experience and continue to deliver these affordable housing and economic development opportunities for the city. Thank you, and we're here if you have any questions.
Thank you. So back to our speakers. G.T. Wharton.
Good evening, G.T. Wharton, District 3 resident, co-founder of Strong Towns Oceanside. So I wanted to just say a few things. I'll start with the palm trees, even though that's not really in my scope, but some of the palm trees are, I saw Washingtonia robusta, which is a invasive plant, so it would be great to get rid of those. We know that the City of Oceanside blows through about $250,000 per year just trimming the palm trees west of the 5. So that's a huge waste of money on trees that don't provide any shade. So we would really like to see some native oak trees there that provide canopy and shade. Second, I did think this is a little bit bizarre today. I mean, we heard a lot of details about how one of our departments is chronically underfunded, Parks and Rec, but now here we are talking about the only thing that can sustainably fund our cities, which is densifying the downtown core into mixed use, which creates recurring sources of property tax and sales tax. But yet, when these get brought to City Council, they're getting vilified by our leadership. This is the only way that cities can be self-sustaining. If you want to know why we're $678 million in debt, that's the culmination of all the things that we have not funded over the years is because we don't know how to build a downtown that can thrive. So we heard earlier about Main Street, Oceanside. They're able to create a downtown that thrives by closing off streets every Thursday. But by creating projects like this on Mission, we allow people to live in downtown, to go car-free, to walk to our downtown small businesses, to go to the street fair, but to also spend money to keep our downtown creating some sort of economic activity. That economic activity is what funds our public services, not fees and not grants, because fees are one time and grants, we do not know if grant sources will dry up. We have no idea if grants will be there the next day. This administration that we have right now is a very anti-grant. So that would be very poor type of way to fund our city moving forward, is to keep looking for grants like it's magically going to appear. And just so you know, if we don't have matching funds, the city is not competitive for grants. Well, where the matching funds come from? General fund revenue. So I'm kind of disappointed that we are the one time saying we are chronically underfunding departments. Here's the projects that will fund them, but no, we shouldn't be building them. So it's really disappointing to see that from our leadership. So I urge you to please vote yes on these projects. This is the only way to sustainably fund our city. Thank you.
Spencer Dominique Sanford, followed by Mike Bullock.
That was close enough. District 1 resident, Spencer Domain Sanford. I'm an Oceanside High School student, and I've been a staunch supporter of both this project and the sister project, the Oceanside Transit Center. I work with Strong Towns Oceanside occasionally, and we work to provide safer streets for everybody. Piggybacking off of what GT said, palm trees need to be removed, especially in the downtown environment where there's people walking on the hot days. You don't have any shade and you want somewhere to sit. Maybe you're hot, you gotta sit somewhere to shade. You don't have any shade with palm trees. And that's really unfortunate that we still do build palm tree or plant palm trees in these new developments. And then I find it really disappointing that the council continuated the project for the Oceanside Transit Center. One of you guys pointed out that this would be a great project for the Olympics. Well, continuating a project certainly doesn't help meet that timeline for the Olympics. Whether or not it would have met that timeline regardless, it definitely wouldn't help to delay it by a month. And with the Coastal Commission, it is my understanding, so I've been told that the Coastal Commission has been scrutinized pretty recently for tanking a lot of housing developments. So I think one of the council members remarks that the project may be returned to the council because of a Coastal Commission condition or some sort is pretty lackluster. I don't think there's any foundation there because the Coastal Commission is under fire for dismantling housing in some areas. The Coastal Commission's job is really to help people get access to the beach. By putting housing, helps people get access to the beach, more people get access to the beach. And in general, I just find it disappointing that the council has taken some of these concerns that have pretty much lack foundation and have chosen to delay projects and to put projects at risk over nothing issues, in my opinion.
Mike Bullock, followed by Joan Bachman.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council members, Mike Bullock, 1800 Bayberry Drive. Please vote to approve the redevelopment of the Oceanside Transit Center and its companion project at 810 Mission Avenue. The redeveloped transit center will be a giant step forward for transit and other alternatives to driving. The projects will make Oceanside a sustainability leader. And I do know of one statewide environmental organization that is going to use this project.
Just address this project.
Toll Brothers as a new standard of development.
Yeah, just address this project for the record.
Okay.
To keep the record clean.
Oceanside needs more transit-oriented development and more housing. Because I can't talk about the modern office building, these things. I will say this, it's been my pleasure to participate in the discussions hosted by Toll Brothers. They listen, and all of the participants listen to one another. And these discussions may have resulted in some great features, such as 15% affordable housing, with 2/3 of them being affordable for low income. This project will be 100% electric, and that's one of the new standards, which is so appreciated by a very well-known statewide environmental organization. And at this development, the market-based housing units will have car parking rents that are unbundled from the apartments rent. And from the book, The High Cost of Free Parking, Chapter 20, it develops how much that will reduce vehicle miles traveled. Now, if this project is approved, I believe discussions will continue. And I do hope that the algorithm computing the monthly car parking rent will be designed to further incentivize less driving. I want to talk a little bit about charging them to build up the road. I can understand that because the City of Oceanside does not get what it should get to maintain its roads. It has responsibility to maintain roads, and yet people drive on those roads and they're not charged a penny that goes directly to Oceanside. This is a little bit of a larger issue, but it is connected. And
Thank you, Mr. Bullock.
And I'm out of time, though. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Joan Bachman, followed by Chase Preciado.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The end of a long road here. So I sent an email, and I did hear some of it addressed in the prior project, but there are 3 boilerplate conditions that need to change, and hopefully that's also happening in this project, even though it wasn't mentioned in the staff presentation. So I hope that's true. The gutter, curb, parkway, and sidewalk, and the sidewalk paving. This picture, there it is. On there, and then addition, the driveway condition will not happen on this project, but it's happened on other projects, so I'd like that language cleaned up as well. Excuse me. So that brings me to the Palms. Thank you for the support. No, I didn't talk to them about that. But yeah, we have no need for palms. There's too many in the city. There's over 5,000. Can we please have 1 square block without them? That would be nice. So on the pine trees, this is not the first time I've run into a requirement for stormwater and that has prevented trees. This happened on LaBounty Drive on El Corazon. Because we had bioswales in, we couldn't put trees in, and now we have no trees, no street trees. Street trees are on the street. Doesn't matter what's in the front yard, it's on the street. There's a huge difference with that. I believe those pine trees, they are Canary Island pines, which are fine, not invasive. Canary Island palms are terrible and should be removed in every case. But I did not get the Board of Buena Vista Audubon to make a resolution and come here and force. I didn't get all those groups because I thought they were being removed. I do have that many people from just a little bit of work getting signatures, okay? And there will be many, many more. There are 35 canopy trees that will be removed. We can't afford to lose any more. I get why those 35 are being removed, but the pine trees just can't go. So we need to come up with more creative solutions because this city doesn't know how to plant trees. We've been running into this problem over and over again. So Frank Gehry, the famous architect, said it is not the regulation, it is how you apply it. And he creates the most beautiful buildings. So this is why we have to save the pine trees. They represent time. You cannot purchase time. These are big, beautiful trees. It's what the raptors go into. That tells you that your bird population is doing well. If you have the hawks, they're in the pine trees. It's also a continuous line of pine trees. that are all down Nevada. So if we start taking these out, do we take them all out? And we just can't have that.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman.
So please find a way to make that work. I'm happy to work.
Thank you. Chase Preciado, followed by Diane Nygaard.
Good evening, Honorable Council. My name is Chase Preciado, and I am with the law firm Lizzo Jury, here on behalf of Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. SAFER respectfully requests that the City Council not approve the 810 Mission Avenue project at this time because it may result in significant air quality impacts, precluding reliance on CEQA's infill exemption. Instead, SAFER urges the City Council to direct staff to prepare a mitigated negative declaration or an environmental impact report for the project for the following reasons. First, staff failed to analyze the project's emissions of reactive organic gases and volatile organic compounds during the construction period. SAFER's air quality experts determined that the project's emissions of these pollutants would exceed the significance threshold of 75 pounds per day established by the local air district at 77.7 pounds per day. Second, SAFER's indoor air quality expert determined that the project would create a significant cancer risk to future residents due to the project's indoor emissions of formaldehyde, which is also a toxic air contaminant and human carcinogen. The source of these indoor emissions would be from the project's use of certain building materials such as composite wood products. SAFER's indoor air quality expert found that the project's indoor formaldehyde emissions would result in a cancer risk more than 12 times higher than the air district's cancer risk threshold for toxic air contaminants. Lastly, staff failed to sufficiently analyze the project's cumulative air quality impacts. There are 3 other mixed-use projects within a half-mile of the project site that staff is currently considering. However, staff failed to analyze the cumulative air quality impacts of all these projects being constructed. For reasons stated here and in SAFER's written comments, SAFER again respectfully requests that the City Council decline to approve the project at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane Nygaard.
Honorable Mayor and Council, Diane Nygaard, representing Preserve Calavera. We were very appreciative that numerous issues we spent months negotiating with the developer of the Oceanside Transit Center project were automatically carried forward into this one. We didn't even have to ask for them. That includes 15% affordable housing, not just the 10%. The all-electric project, and our big one for us is this project, a residential project, is including a transportation demand management plan, including transit passes for the residents that will dramatically reduce the number of car trips generated by the project. So there's much to commend with this project, but I also fully support Joan Bachman's comments. We need to remove those palm trees. They need to be replaced with canopy trees that benefits everyone who uses those streetways. We need to have a much better protection of preserving mature trees, especially canopy trees like these pines that exist on that site. We want to have walkable, bikeable communities. Preserving those trees are important to that, as well as providing a place for birds to nest. And those little green spaces, those parkway spaces, become more and more critical as we see density bonus projects like this with minimal open space and with no green space and without adequate parks provided in the downtown area to support those. So those trees and those little green spaces are even more priceless with projects today than they were in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council on this item? You do not have to have signed up to speak on this. Rise, approach the podium, state your name, and you have up to 3 minutes to speak on this item.
Leo Chapinski, homeless veteran, 2 wars. That young man over there from the high school, you're absolutely right. You know, I got here in '78. Marines brought me here. I was a Marine recruiter up in Wisconsin. We got plenty of trees that'll give you shade, let me tell you. And if you're from the Midwest, you know a little bit about weeping willows. I don't think I've seen one here in California. But if I get the money, I'm going to put one over my wife's gravesite over at the Mission because they sure are beautiful. Lilac trees, they're beautiful. They smell great. They look great. They're wonderful as you're walking home from school and you actually reach up and grab a branch and take it home to your mom or whatever. Oak trees, all sorts of trees that give you a lot of shade, because for us homeless, whether you be sheltered in a car or on your own outside, there is no shade, period. And those tall palm trees are really cute, but they don't drop any coconuts, so I could care less about them. I love coconuts, I hate to tell you. I'm a coconut fiend. That's why I don't eat mounds, it's all almond joy. Okay. Bottom, yeah, we got a little bit of fun here. Come on, laugh a little bit, guys. I know this is a city council meeting, but come on, let's go, do it. And I don't know what medium income is. See, my problem is I worked for 62 years. I started at age 8 and worked my way up from shining shoes to working with the Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, Colonel Sanders, and worked at Sears and Original Pancake House, and then the Marine Corps, and then worked for a nuclear power plant and San Diego High School for 10 years, and 62 years worth of work. I don't know why. I make too much money, but I have breakfast with hundreds of homeless folks, and they're all laughing at me because they all have one-bedroom apartments over there by Greenbrier, and they're living large. They're living large. Guys coming out of prison, living large. People smoking dope, using dope, selling dope, they're living large. My friend Mary Elizabeth, she was really upset last week. They raised her rent $200 a month for that beautiful swank apartment. I have to pay $1,800 for that very same apartment because I worked for 62 years, and I earned it in sub-zero temperature around the world, in tropical heat around the world. I earned that money. But now that I'm in my golden years, is that funny or what? I have to pay $1,800. Well, guess who pays the $1,600 balance from my friend Mary Elizabeth? You do. You do. All you taxpayers are paying all of this hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars for people that haven't worked for 62 years.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing. Go to the council. Deputy Mayor Joyce.
I was going to see if staff wanted to address any of the questions that were provided first, if that's okay. Go ahead, Joan Bachman.
Did you want to address some of the questions?
Honorable Mayor, council members, I certainly can. We looked at condition of approval number 91, which was specifically brought out by Ms. Bachman, and can certainly add, similar to the OTC project, that North Clementine Street, Pierview Way, and Nevada Street shall be constructed with new curb, gutter, parkway, and sidewalk.
Okay.
We can also, the city has no current standards for the sidewalks, so if the city council so chooses and the applicant is amenable, we can certainly add that that could be a condition of approval to have the historic squares.
Okay. And I think we're seeing nods on the paving, okay?
I'm sorry, is your mic on?
Yes.
Okay, I can barely hear you.
Sorry, I was saying, I think we're seeing nods, just for the record, from the applicant on paving pattern.
And then lastly, regarding the palm trees, this was meant to be a discussion point for our upcoming downtown item, but also in terms of what the applicant is willing to provide, they're willing to go at the city council's direction.
Okay, thank you. So I would just offer support. So definitely on the paving pattern that was brought up, and item 91 that addresses not redoing the parkways with the like conditions. So that would be making them parkways like we would want them to be. I would support definitely getting rid of the invasive palm from the plan and whatever palms council is willing to lend their voice to. I hear out our friends on that one. And then the pine trees, they are truly beloved in that area. And I had thought that they were going to be preserved in this development. So this is a little bit surprising. It doesn't sound like we're prepared to preserve them tonight. Can staff speak to what they could do to work on that item, knowing that it's a little bit complicated?
You mean the palm trees?
No, the pine trees.
Oh, the pine trees.
Because they're iconic if you're walking around down here. That's like a noticeable shade canopy and something that would want to do anything we could to preserve them.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor and council members, I'm going to take a stab at a couple of these things. So yes, with respect to the pine trees, and staff can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, or the applicant for that matter, the reason that the pine trees are being removed is because that area in which the pine trees currently exist is actually the location where the required stormwater retention basin is going to be installed in that space. And the stormwater detention basin actually takes up quite a bit of real estate. So if it were not located there, it would actually be on the project site, which then would require a complete redesign of the project footprint, as I understand it. However, all that said, I mean, we're certainly willing to re-examine the issue, and if there is any way possible to eke out some sort of a compromise, and, you know, we're certainly willing to do it, but, you know, it's going to be a tall order, but it's something that we can certainly look at and not necessarily put completely to bed. And I'm happy to work with our engineering staff to see if there's other options out there. One point of clarification on the palm trees. So we're talking about two different categories of trees here, because we have some palm trees which are being proposed, which the applicant has agreed to remove from the plan. But then we also have, as Mr. Wharton stated, a significant row of old Washingtonian palm trees, which, in my opinion, if you look down Mission Avenue today, they frame that street on either side. So removing one section of palms from that frame viewpoint corridor looking westward from the 5 freeway, you're going to have a big missing piece of palm trees that currently nicely line both sides of the street. So I just want to make that point clear. One option, which I would suggest, rather than removing the existing palm trees, because I do think that's a significant move here, is to instead look at interspersing those existing palm trees with canopy trees, which is often done, so you get the benefits of both. In other words, those existing palm trees on Mission Avenue. And there's only a couple locations really where I believe that the palm trees actually frame the street. One is Mission Avenue, the other one is Pacific Street, because they do kind of march up nicely on both those streets. And I know I'm sharing my personal opinions of those trees there. Anywhere else, I'm not as concerned about it. However, I just wanted to point that distinction out between the proposed palm trees and the existing palm trees. As Ms. Nicandro mentioned, that is actually a topic that we intend to cover in the upcoming downtown workshop, which is scheduled in December. So I just wanted to add all that, but you know, hopefully that wasn't too long-winded, but I think I covered everything.
And I wanted to add that we have had this discussion over the years about the palm trees. And I think the policy that ended up coming out of that was to keep the palm trees on Mission. I think it was mostly, I want to see west of the I-5, and but only on Mission, and then to start getting rid of them on the side streets.
Yeah, there is actually a downtown landscaping plan, which we recently discovered, and I recall that they were still to be preserved on Mission, then also on Pacific, and I can't remember which other streets beyond that, but for those very reasons.
Right, and then on the side streets to work at ensuring that the shade trees, especially if they end up needing to be removed, that they be replaced. So I don't know where we're at on that in terms of a policy that if there are any trees that are having to be removed, that they be replaced. somewhere near the site or
Yeah, and
something to
I
that effect.
do recall instances recently where we've removed palm trees and have replaced them with canopy trees in the downtown area.
Right. So, I mean, I just wanted to let you know that over the years, there has been discussions about palm trees because they are non-native invasive. You see them in the Santa Maria River bed.
Yep.
And they are, they light up like a match. So they are not considered safe as well. And so I think over time, we thought instead of taking them down everywhere, that they would be replaced with shade trees and I think we had partnered with a source for trees, but I don't know where that is now. But go ahead and continue. I just wanted to give you that background.
Thank you. So I would just make the motion to include the parkway condition changed to 91, the paving condition, and then whatever direction the council gives on the palm trees and the commitment from the city and the developer to work together on preserving the pines to the best of our abilities. That'd be the motion.
Okay, Councilmember Weiss?
I just want to point out that in condition 151W, it requires existing landscaping on and adjacent to the site shall be protected in place and supplemented or replaced to meet the satisfaction of the city engineer. So I think my personal opinion is keep the palms on mission, but get rid of any new palms, and then do the best they can to try to preserve the trees that are there.
Right. Which I think was consistent with what we had discussed over the years. Mission Avenue, when it was redone, and we put in all that parkway and improvements and widened the sidewalks and all that, were there any conditions because of this investment in Mission Avenue? Were there any conditions to ensure that it continues to be, ensure the trees and, will the parkways be green, include green?
Honorable Mayor, I'm not aware of any policies regarding the parkways remaining green. However,
Because the city paid for all that, it wasn't required of developers. The city did all that to encourage walkability.
I see. The city manager had alluded to a plan. I happened to find it was from 2006. It's an actual interim tree plan for the downtown, which identifies Mission Avenue as having a row of those palm trees. And that could also be discussed at the downtown workshop item as well.
All right, thank you. Well, there's a motion and a second. Oh, I did have another question. About the parking, because there seemed to me to be enough parking for at least one space per unit. But then I heard bundled and unbundled. Does the rent include at least one space? The rent does include, so it's unbundled, it's bundled until you hit past the one per space?
Right, so we've kind of called it a modified unbundling program.
Okay.
So everyone gets one parking space, and if they want additional, those have to be paid for.
Okay, all right, I just wanted that clarification. Okay, there's a motion and a second, please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Okay, we are at general council member comments. Anyone wishing to speak? Feels like a long night. Well, I want to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. Hope to see you at the Turkey Trot. Hope to see you at Shop Oceanside on Saturday, maybe even Friday, Saturday, the whole weekend. Meeting adjourned to December 3rd, 3:30 p.m. Thank you. Good night.